All right, it is a little bit after 6 o'clock. We'd like to go ahead and open our city council meeting up for Monday, March 2nd, 2020. Let us all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us bow our heads. Most gracious and heavenly Father, Lord, we come to you this day to say thank you, O Father God. Thank you for allowing us to have another moment on this earth, O Father God. Lord, we thank you for all that you do. We ask you, O Father God, to watch over all of us, watch over this world for this coronavirus, O Father God. And please, O Father God, be able to control it and not let another life be lost. Lord, we ask you continue to bless and keep each and every individual. This we pray in your darling Son, Jesus' name, and for his sake. Amen.
Amen.
Can we have a roll call?
Alderman Fisher.
Present.
Alderman Mayfield.
Present.
Alderman Evans.
Here.
Alderman Allen.
Here.
Alderman Markham.
Present.
Alderman Reynolds.
Here.
Alderman January.
All right, omnibus vote agenda.
Mayor Rockingham,
Alderman Allen.
make a motion that we approve the omnibus vote agenda 5-1 through 5-6.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
It's been moved by Alderman Allen, second by Alderman Reynolds, that the omnibus vote agenda be passed as presented. Are there questions? Alderman January.
Can we please separate out 5-4 through 5-6 into regular agenda, please?
Are there any other requests? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comment?
Suzanne Belinky.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I just want to take the opportunity to remind everyone that early voting for the March 17th primary has started. City Hall is a polling place, so people can vote here up through March 16th. There will be people here every day, including Saturdays and Sundays, for people to vote. And if people aren't registered, they can be registered to vote at the same time. So I would just encourage you, as you see your friends and neighbors and constituents, to remind them that this is a great opportunity to exercise their right to vote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Anyone else?
Excuse me, sorry. Kareem Merchant.
How are you, everyone?
Good.
I'm here to apply for a license in my gas station. We've been in a business over 17 years in the same place. And, we are the only one out of 7 gas stations in North Chicago run by family. Everybody else is a corporation or a multi-level corporation. So the reason I'm here today, we've been having really hard time competing with the competition from Waukegan because we border with the 10th Street gas station. And right now people come, they get their stuff from us, and when they see we don't have a liquor license, they go bypass all the merchandise and they go to Waukegan store. Same thing with the current dollar stores and other places who serve alcohol. We are kind of losing our business to them. So I request everyone, please consider our liquor license application. Thank you.
All right. Now, you're on
For discussion.
discussion under economic development.
Right.
So I know you had your 3 minutes here, but you're also in committee, so you could speak longer if you like at that point.
That's true, yeah.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right. That's all? Okay. Regular agenda, 5-4, audit financial ending August 30th, 2019.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Reynolds.
I move to approve item 5-4 as presented.
It's been moved by Alderman Reynolds, second by Alderman Allen, that 5-4 be passed as presented. Are there questions? Roll call?
Alderman Fisher.
Aye.
Alderman Mayfield.
Aye.
Alderman Evans.
Aye.
Alderman Allen.
Aye.
Alderman Markham.
Aye.
Alderman Reynolds.
Aye.
Alderman January.
Motion carried. 5-5, Summer Up Program Agreement. Could I have a motion for the Summer Up Program?
I make a
Mr.
motion that we approve the Summer Up Program Agreement.
Second.
It's been moved by Alderman Allen, second by Alderman Mayfield, that 5-5 be passed as presented. Are there questions? I'm sorry, Alderman?
Can you just refresh myself as well as the citizens as to what this agreement is?
Yeah.
That's 100 kids.
Alderman January, the summer up, there are two agreements in here. This is an expansion of our summer youth employment program. So currently, as it stands, we get about 20 students who come into the city. They apply with the county. It's a partnership with the county and Advent. They work in various departments Monday through Thursday. On Friday, we have professional development. What are you going to do with your paycheck? They've taken a field trip to the Federal Reserve Bank and so on. This year, we're going to take on an additional 100 kids, and we're going to send them to college programs for a couple weeks during the summer. So the agreement that you have two agreements. One is from the Staines Family Foundation, who will be granting the city $80,000. The other one is for the woman who will be managing the program, Ms. Carter, and we'll be paying her from that $60,000. The $20,000 is for the transportation and kind of the ancillary things that go along with sending these kids to college. The tuition will be paid directly from the Staines Family Foundation.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Alderman Mayfield.
Aye.
Alderman Evans.
Aye.
Alderman Allen.
Aye.
Alderman Markham.
Aye.
Alderman Runnels.
Aye.
Alderman January. Alderman Fisher.
Motion carried. 7-6, ordinance amending Title VI of the City Code to adopt fair housing regulations.
Mayor Rockingham,
Alderman Allen.
I make a motion that we approve the ordinance amendment Title VI of the City Code to adopt fair housing regulation.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Been moved by Alderman Allen, second by Alderman Reynolds, that 5-6 be passed as presented. Are there questions?
Yeah, Mayor, I got one.
Alderman Allen?
I just want to know, was anything changed from the last, this is the first time we're adopting this, right?
Nothing has changed, Alderman.
Nothing changed?
Nothing at all.
Okay, thank you. That's all I need to know.
All right. Any other questions? Roll
Do-
call?
Wait, one question. Do we have a copy of that?
It was given the last.
I know it was
council.
given to us
That-
last
that's
time.
a last-
It's also attached in there.
It's
It
in here.
it was, it's attached in here. I don't,
You don't have one?
hard copy.
You don't have it in there?
You don't have one.
She ain't got one. I'll get it from you later. Thank you.
Any other questions? Roll call?
Alderman Evans.
Aye.
Alderman Allen.
Aye.
Alderman Markham.
Aye.
Alderman Runnels.
Aye.
Alderman January.
Aye.
Alderman Fisher. Alderman Mayfield.
Aye.
Motion carried. 7-1, consideration and approval, resolution allocating 2020 private activity bond cap amount of $3,125,850 to Buffalo Grove, Illinois.
Mr.
Here I
Mayor,
am.
Actually, it came from Alderman Evans.
I would like to approve the resolution reallocating 2020 private activity bond cap amount of $3,125,850 to Buffalo Grove, Illinois.
second, Mr. Mayor.
It's been moved by Alderman Evans, second by Alderman Reynolds, that 7-1 be passed as presented. Are there questions? Roll call?
Alderman Allen.
Aye.
Alderman Markham.
Aye.
Alderman Runnels.
Aye.
Alderman January. Alderman Fisher. Alderman Mayfield.
Aye.
Alderman Evans.
Aye.
Motion carried. 7-2, consideration and approval authorizing for Comcast settlement agreement of $27,518.39.
Mayor Rockingham,
Alderman Evans.
I would like to approve the authorization for Comcast settlement agreement in the amount of $27,518.39.
Second?
It's been moved by Alderman Evans, second by Alderman Mayfield, that 7-2 be passed as presented. Are there questions?
Yes.
Alderman
That's-
Allen?
That's our 27,000, right?
Yes.
I just want to make sure.
Yes. Our son, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Roll call.
Alderman Markham.
Aye.
Alderman Runnels.
Aye.
Alderman January.
Aye.
Alderman Fisher. Alderman Mayfield.
Aye.
Alderman Evans.
Aye.
Alderman Allen.
Aye.
Motion carried. 7-3, consideration and approval of resolution of 2020 CDBG public service funds.
Mayor Rockingham,
Alderman Evans.
I would like to approve the resolution of 2020 CDBG Public Service Funds as is.
Second.
Been moved by Alderman Evans, second by Alderman Allen, that 7-3 be passed as presented. Are there questions? Roll call.
Alderman Runnels.
Aye.
Alderman January. Alderman Fisher. Alderman Mayfield. Alderman Evans.
Aye.
Alderman Allen.
Aye.
Alderman Markham.
Aye.
Motion carried. City bills.
Mayor,
Alderman Reynolds.
I move to pay the city bills, the sum total, $609,959.39.
Second.
Been moved by Alderman Reynolds, second by Alderman Mayfield, that city bills be paid as presented. Are there questions on the bills? Alderman Markham.
The page 12, Nakasa, $10,416.68. You stated that we didn't receive any invoice for this for the past year. What is this? Are these funds that are grants or what?
No, this is for services as from NICASA as it relates to our teen court program. And apparently NICASA had forgotten to bill us for
For the past year?
about a year and a half, yes.
Okay. And page 1 and 2, Mayor's Office. Now, my question was, since the mayor's the president of the IML, are they going to pay any of his expenses? And then you sent me information for more things that I have a question. But is that are they responsible to pay some of your expenses?
There's some of the expenses they do pay. They pay my National League of Cities. When I go to the National League of Cities this time, U.S. Conference of Mayors, they pay for that conference also. So there's conferences they do pay for.
Will they reimburse or you?
No, they strictly pay it, and hotel, flight, and, well, hotel and flight.
Your answer here brought up another question. It says that,
Oh, and the fall session in Chicago.
okay, but only for the Illinois Municipal League responsibility.
Yes.
You said here about some things are prepaid in expenses.
Under the legislative?
Right. Or just on the legislative, because I had a question about the chief of staff and airfare to Cuba. Airfare for Cuba, chief of staff. What's going on in Cuba?
We are going as a delegate for the National League of Cities. They're paying my expense, and the chief of staff is attending as part of the city.
Okay. And then, just one more thing. Well, let me just go back to NICASA. Will they issue their invoices?
On a timely manner?
Yeah, I mean, are you going to get them now? Have you talked to them, or?
We certainly hope so. That is something that comes out of the police department, and I think the chief is going to be checking up on it.
Okay. So those are not
It's a
granted
one-time.
funds? Those are actual city funds for this program? Those are not granted?
No.
Those
These are expenses, yes.
expenses. Okay. Right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Alderman January.
Thank you. Hi, Danielle.
Good evening.
Do we have sufficient funds in the account to cover, and when will the checks be cut and sent?
There are enough funds to cover all expenses. Checks will be issued tomorrow and then mailed out between Tuesday and Wednesday.
And then what is the amount in the water fund as of the close of business day today?
$1,308,660.50.
And then when's the next transfer of money out of the water fund to the general fund to cover those?
That'll be done last month of our fiscal year in April.
Okay. And what's the amount?
650,000.
The last amount went out in January.
January.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Alderman January.
No.
Alderman Fisher.
Aye.
Alderman Mayfield.
Aye.
Alderman Evans.
Aye.
Alderman Allen.
Aye.
Alderman Markham.
Aye.
Alderman Runnels.
Aye.
Motion carried. Miscellaneous business. Alderman Markham.
Fifth Ward will have a quarterly meeting. It will be this Saturday, March the 7th, from 10 to 1. It will be at the Foss Park Community Center, 1730 Lewis Avenue, North Chicago. We try to be informative in these meetings and answer the questions of the residents. So we are encouraging all of those who would like to attend to please come. That's this Saturday, March the 7th, from 10 to noon at the Foss Park Community Center. Thank you.
Good. Alderman Mayfield have her hand up first?
Yeah, she probably.
Oh, okay, then. Oh, me,
Yep.
okay. The census is coming, as we all know. You will be receiving in the mail in the month of March your identification code, and you're going to need that in order to complete your census. So the Complete Count Committee will have a Come to Your Census party on Sunday, March 22nd, from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. We're finalizing the venue, so just save that date, and we'll be able to help you fill out your census.
Good.
Also, Mr. Mayor, if it's okay, I'd like for Dale Urban to come forward and just talk a little bit about what precautions we as a city have taken to keep everybody safe during the potential corona outbreak.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Alderman. No one can get away from it. It's in the news, as you guys seen in the papers. Not that I want to dispel all the hype about the virus, but I think people are overreacting. The virus is contagious just like any other flu virus would be. Primarily, I want to talk about prevention. Just like with anything, the common cold, the flu, the best thing people can do is wash their hands. Don't get in contact with other people. I know people aren't shaking hands now. If you do, wash your hands vigorously for 20 seconds. Avoid touching your hands to your mouth or face. When you cough, cough into the crook of your elbow instead of out in the open. If you do feel like you have flu-like symptoms, I did put Coronavirus 101 pamphlet in back. There's one with questions and answers and one from the IDPH and the CDC. If you have further questions on it, you can go to the CDC website or call the fire department. The hype about this virus currently is because there's a lot of unknowns. Information is fluid, it's changing every day. The mortality rate is twice of the regular flu, so I guess in the big scheme of things, it's not all that bad. It has not become a pandemic as of yet. It is communal. They have found people getting the virus from contact from people to people. A lot of it is good hygiene. Clean your surfaces, wash your hands, don't touch your face. And that's with anything. That's with the regular flu. This is similar to when we had the H1N1, the bird flu, SARS. There was also a lot of hype, and people are afraid because they don't know a lot about it. There is not a vaccine. I would recommend anybody that has not had their flu vaccine to get it. It's not too late. You can get the flu still. But they do not have a vaccine for the coronavirus as of yet. They are working tirelessly to come up with that. The other problem is they don't have a lot of testing for it yet. So just like everybody else, it's unknown, and we're learning as we go. The incubation period is 2 to 14 days for the coronavirus, so it could be a little longer. The regular flu is 5 to 7 days. But if you do feel like you have flu-like symptoms, you have a fever, a cough, don't feel well, call your physician, get into the doctor and be seen, and they will test you. If you're sick at work, stay home. If you're sick at school, you have school kids, keep them at home. People, just like the regular flu, people with lower immunities are higher risk. So our elderly, diabetes, any of your autoimmune diseases, they have a higher risk of fatality from the disease, just like the normal flu. The good news about the coronavirus thus far, children don't seem to be as susceptible to it. I hope that I answered some of your questions. I don't want to get too lengthy. There was questions about masks. We have N95 masks, and that's what we have as far as paramedic or healthcare providers have. And that's, it filters a smaller particulate. I just was traveling, I saw everybody in the airport with the regular simple masks. These are used more for transmission of the disease than getting the disease. So if you have the flu, someone coughs on you, you can still inhale the particulates from 6 feet. This is what the coronavirus is, what they're thinking now, it's 6 feet. The N95 masks, that's what the healthcare provider uses, and that's to displace or to make sure you're not getting the particulates. But the simple masks aren't going to help you not have the transmission. The best thing you can do, clean your surfaces, wash your hands. The alcohol-based sanitizing hand sanitizer, keep that available. Clean hygiene.
Okay.
Right, amen.
And that's just not with the coronavirus, that's with all viruses.
Okay.
Are there any questions I didn't touch on? Like I said, there is a pamphlet out back if you have questions. As far as preparedness, we treat this like any other disease that comes through or patient. If they do have the symptoms, we would put the mask on their patient, and then we'd also put the N95s on ourselves. I talked to Chief Perez, he said he did get them for their officers. However, because they're not healthcare professionals, we would like just to be called so we can transfer them to their physician or to the hospital.
And the police will have some N95?
They do have them.
Okay, good.
But my recommendation is, yeah, you have to have them fitted, and that's the other problem with the masks. A lot of people aren't fitted properly, so there's gaps. So even though people have the equipment, they're not using it properly. Again, I'll go back to clean hygiene. That's the best way to mitigate this problem. And any other information, I'm reading up on it and listening to it every day. As they learn more, I'll bring more back to the table.
And go ahead, Alderman.
Doug, can you just make sure that our police officers that do have them and they're going to carry them, that they've been tested, please?
Okay, I will pass it on to Chief Perez. My recommendation is if you are coming in contact with someone with flu-like symptoms, that's not their job, that they should be calling us.
I understand that, but if they're going to use them, let's make sure it's used properly.
Exactly.
I know also that there has been conference calls from the White House that I've been on, and pretty much the same thing. That was one of the biggest things. They are in the process of trying to issue as many the test for the symptoms out there as possible as they're moving forward. I also was on a call Sunday with the mayor of Chicago, Mayor Lightfoot, some close to probably 100 mayors throughout the state of Illinois was on the call. You know, Illinois, like they say, they're kind of one of the first states that has the test, you know, been able to have the test equipment. And, but that is one of the biggest things they keep saying is the hygiene, so.
They do believe that it'll be up to a year to get the vaccination, just like the regular flu. People probably won't get it, but, you know, the vaccination now, I know people don't get the flu vaccination, and I'm a big proponent. I get it as a healthcare provider, but it's for the mass public, so hopefully I know they have all the resources on it because of all the media. It's frightened a lot of people. I've gotten tens of calls on it, so I'm happy to share this information.
Okay. Any other questions? Very good.
Thanks, Dale.
Thank you,
Thank
Dale.
you.
Okay. Any other questions? Alderman Evans?
Man,
Should've
well,
went
I
before
tell
me.
you, I want to say what I wanted to state, but that was such a downer. But that was good information. But I hope it don't keep people from coming to March 14th. I'm having war. I want the people to come out. Come out, people, come out.
Tell them you got a mask
Yes,
on.
we,
Wear some masks for 'em.
we will provide masks if you need them. But we're gonna be there, and we're gonna have it at the Forest Park Community Center. It's gonna be from 10 o'clock to 1. We're gonna have the staff and other city officials. We're also gonna have the state rep and other elected officials that's gonna be out, and we're gonna come out and have a good time on that day. And also, we're hosting, I'm hosting an affair with it's a trip for the Black Women Expo that's gonna be held on April the 4th. And we're asking everyone to get involved. The cost is $25. You make your checks out to the city of North Chicago in reference to the 3rd Ward. Because I don't want your money. We want to provide a service that we're trying to do here in the city of North Chicago. We try to provide a service for each and every citizen out here. So that's just something that we want to do. So thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Been moved by Alderman Reynolds, second by Alderman Allen, that the meeting stand adjourned. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
I would like to open up the Economic Development Planning and Zoning Committee meeting. Roll call.
Alderman Fisher. Present. Alderman Mayfield.
Present.
Alderman Evans.
Here.
Alderman Allen.
Here.
Alderman Markham.
Present.
Alderman Reynolds.
Here.
Alderman January.
We got 9 items on the agenda. We'll start with number 1, review and discussion of Big Ed's Barbecue. Victor?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Big Ed's Barbecue, previously located in North Chicago, now in Waukegan, would like to build a new restaurant and banquet facility, along with additional retail space, approximately 4,500 square feet of additional retail space added on to the proposed restaurant and banquet facility at the southwest corner of Green Bay Road and Casimir Pulaski. The proposed facility altogether would be approximately 7,500 square feet compared to the 3,000 square feet at their current facility in Waukegan. The larger facility would allow the business owner, Mr. Eddie Nero, to cater more events as well as provide customers an opportunity to hold their events in a private setting. The proposed development consists of approximately 1.7 acres. The city owns 2 of the parcels. In your packet, I provided a map of the parcels that are owned by the city. The subject parcels are Zone B2 General Business, and the proposed use is permitted in the zoning district. Before Mr. Nero proceeds with any concrete plans, he'd like to obtain the committee's feedback on the proposed developments. The project would involve entering into a development agreement and would require IDOT's involvement for access off of Green Bay Road. At this time, it is unknown if any zoning variances are needed based on the information provided. The proposed development offers the opportunity for the city to receive sales tax and property tax. Additionally, it offers the opportunity to the city to bring back a business that was previously located in the community. This evening, we have Mr. Nero here in attendance. He'd be happy to answer any questions the committee has regarding the proposed developments.
Okay, you want to come up and just state your name and wait for the records, and then you can. Thank you.
My name is Eddie Nero. I'm the owner and operator of Big Ed's Barbecue.
Okay. You have any questions with, just for me? I welcome you with open arms, as Bobby Allen. All I can speak for is me. But I can say, I'm on economic, I want to see everybody coming up. I love to see business coming in our community. And like I say, I'm looking forward to working with you, and let's get it done.
We started in North Chicago, so it'd be nice to
Come back.
come back home.
Okay.
Come back home. We've had several locations over the past 12 years, and with each location, our business grew, and with that, our rent continues to increase. So we've decided that rather than continuing, we were actually supposed to purchase the location that we're at and expand that, and the property appraised for less than what it was worth. And the owner was refusing to work on the price, so our rent went up. We signed another lease for another 5 years. So over the time that we are at our current location, we'd like to
Be looking at something.
be looking and put the groundwork in so that we can set up a home where we don't have to continue to worry about our rent being increased, and we can continue to provide services to the community.
Anyone have it? Anybody got any?
I just like to say, welcome back, my friend.
All right.
Incidentally, there's a lady who left something for me, some information, Angelina somebody. But anyway, she talked about Greg Rockingham, the groups coming to play.
Yeah, the live music is definitely.
Thank her for me, please.
I will.
Thank you.
So he just wanted to kind of get a little, make sure that everybody's on the same page. I think everybody's on the page.
I'm on that page.
Okay, you can go for it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, discussion of Sheridan Crossing 30 days report. You always want to keep up.
All right, so the report that I provided in your packet the report that I provided in your packet is a result of the committee's request based on the last presentation that Structured Development made to the committee. This is the 30-day written report.
Okay.
The committee had also requested a 60-day report. That report is anticipated to take place on April 6th. And at that time, Structured will be at the committee, at this meeting, and will make a presentation and provide you a project update.
So what do we know different in the 30-day report than what we got last month?
So what's different, I will point to you and direct you to the industrial development, and I will read what was provided by the developer.
Okay.
After initial due diligence, the industrial developer has opted not to move forward. User remains interested in pursuing the development of a 200,000 square foot facility. Structured development is in negotiations with user to provide development services.
That's, okay. Any questions?
So,
Which is good news, actually. I mean, for that person to kind of back away and let Structure go ahead and take the deal without them having to get in the middle of it, that was, gives us a better opportunity to, hopefully, for them to get the deal done. So they, Structure was dealing with another developer who had the person with the facility, so that person stepped away from the deal and let them work directly between each other. So Jeff and the end user are working together, and the other gentleman stepped away. So they don't get anything out of the deal, basically.
Okay.
So.
But is that C&R, SC, what's that, C?
E.B. Richard Ellis?
They still with?
They're still working for Structured and
Okay.
in
All
getting
right.
the commercial front lease.
I just want to make sure that, okay, they didn't step away.
No.
All right.
They have not, and one
Okay,
thing,
still
Jeff,
on. Yeah, okay, yeah. All right, any more questions that? All right, discussion, go to 3, discussion of pro temp vacancy registration, go there.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
What we have for you tonight is a discussion that was brought to my attention, I should say, by some other neighboring municipalities. As you might be aware of, the city is a participant in the Lake County Land Bank, and having some discussions with them, the different municipalities that are part of that group, and their challenges to deal with vacant and foreclosed buildings, they brought about the name ProChamps. At that time, I had no clue what that meant. They gave me a little background on the company, and rather than me repeat what might be said better by the actual individual who runs the group locally here in Illinois, I'd like to introduce Stan Urban, if possible. He's a gentleman who represents Illinois, again, on behalf of Pro Champs. What I do want to just say quickly is that essentially what we're looking to utilize them for is assisting the city to get our vacant and foreclosed properties registered in a more efficient fashion that will basically free up staff time to basically then tackle the actual issues associated with those abandoned and vacant homes. But I'll go ahead and let Stan make an introduction for himself, and we'll move from there.
Good evening, Mayor, Alderman. Thank you for the time and allowing me to make a presentation. As staff indicated, this program is an unusual program because I will probably be the only vendor that you will see this year that's not going to charge you money. In turn, we're going to send checks to the city of North Chicago once a month. In turn, we are going to provide the names, addresses, phone numbers, and emails to the mortgagee, not the people living in there that are being foreclosed on, but the bank that's actually foreclosing on that property. We're going to ask this board to pass an ordinance that says if a bank or an institution initiates a foreclosure in North Chicago, they must provide Pro Champs with that valuable information and pay a fee of $300 twice a year. What do we do with the $300? We keep $100. We send you folks $200 for each one of the registrations. So you get money for doing nothing, plus staff will have access to the names, addresses, phone numbers, and emails, as I said, to the banks, but even more importantly, to the property managers that the banks hired to take care of that property. So that when your code officers go out to a certain property and the grass is this tall and nobody's cutting it, yes, somebody's got to cut it. Public Works usually cuts it. And then you send a bill to the house that nobody's living in, that's foreclosed. You eventually will get your money when the house is sold by putting a judgment against the property. But now, instead of sending this bill to a house that's empty, you will have the access to the bank, the property managers, names, addresses, phone numbers, and you can send the bill right to them. Our collection rate on the foreclosures nationally is over 85%. In the packets that I passed out earlier to you, and I believe it was sent to you electronically, there is a list of over 35 Illinois communities that are currently partnered. Shame on me, but I happen to be a retired city manager, that this company found me when I was a manager of a city. And I went into retirement, and they said, Stan, we don't have anybody in Illinois. You're an old man, and you know a bunch of people. Go do this. I said, I don't want to do this.
I'm retired.
But my wife and I decided that we're not compatible 24 hours a day. So I only go out when I get time to go out, or I feel like going out. As staff indicated, yes, several of your neighboring communities have partnered with us. Recently, we just signed up Fox Lake, Beach Park, who else? Waukegan. Now, in that same packet that I passed out, it clearly states that we have identified in your town 81 active foreclosures. You also have a large number of vacant properties. We register vacant and foreclosed. Usually people will ask, well, why do you charge $300 twice a year? Because today, Chase Bank owns that property. 2 months from now, Third Bank owns it. 3 months after that, Mid-America Bank owns it. Properties are changing hands almost daily. So for us to stay on top of those bad guys, we have to stay and get a registration twice a year. We have provided staff with what we'll call best practice ordinance. You get to redline it, fill in the blanks, do whatever you want. It's your ordinance. We just enforce it. Our agreement is a 2-year agreement.
Yes, sir.
In the 2-year agreement, there's an interesting clause. It's an opt-out clause. And no, you don't have to pay us to get out. You just send us an email and we go away 30 days later. But the interesting thing is, over 250 other communities nationally that we represent and work with. Since 2009, not one of them has ever opted out. Because I don't think an alderman or a mayor wants to give up getting free information and getting paid every month.
All right.
I'm open for questions.
Any questions? You said, go ahead, I don't know.
Well, it's not directly to him, it's for our Economic Development Department. This is something that you guys should be doing right now, correct?
Correct. So we do have the program in place both for the foreclosure registration and vacant registration. The way it's structured now, though, is on an annual basis, and it's $600 rather than $300 every 2 months. Or sorry, every 6 months. So it's essentially the same dollar amount we'd be charged. The difference here is that we don't have to spend hours upon hours in staff time to do the research to find out who the right individual is that we have to contact. Also,
So let me stop you right there.
yes.
You said staff time is the problem. So has the staff been currently doing this or not?
Yes, we have.
So have the staff been accomplishing doing this or not?
With a significant amount of challenge. So we've had difficulty in both finding the appropriate party that we have to contact, as well as collecting on those debts. So there's two elements of this, as mentioned, the foreclosure registration and the vacant registration. The city has primarily focused on the vacant registration over the last few years, but it's also on the books that we do have a foreclosure registration. One of our staff members has been this year tackling that issue and spent a fairly significant amount of time. Now that actually on the books today is only at $100. So we're hypothetically, with a change here as suggested, which is the national model, we would be increasing that dollar amount coming to us on the vacant registration, or sorry, the foreclosure registrations.
So once, oh, go ahead, Alderman.
Go ahead, Alderman.
So if we accept this company, will you downsize your staff?
No, sir. What we would do is reallocate their time to go and hit that code enforcement stuff that you guys want us to do. So rather than us having to sit in the office.
So are they being taxed by this particular situation? Overtaxed?
I would say it's been cumbersome for them to research this without being able to do a title search on some property, without the expense of running a title search. They're spending, like I said, if it's not an hour more than that, in many cases, trying to find the right individual or individuals to contact. So it's not just our code enforcers themselves, those who handle that, but also our front office staff. So sometimes, be it Stephanie, Rose, or whomever it might be, even myself, an individual might come in and we'd have to articulate essentially the details of this and why we're doing what we're doing. There's the haggle back and forth for quite some time in many cases. In other instances, they might even inundate the mayor's office, unfortunately. And so what this does essentially frees up all that time. We say, hey, this is where you got to go. Register online. This is your information you got to put in there. And if they don't, what Stan didn't really get into here is that they do research on their end. So they had some basic data already provided to them from a number of different avenues that they utilize to get that information. And then we would supplement that from whatever we catch in the field. So when our code enforcers are out there on a regular basis, riding around the city and they see something that seems odd, if we can identify it as vacant above and beyond their research, we just simply provide them an email, give them a phone call, whatever the case might be, and they go at it. Now, on top of all that, the good news is, and Stan didn't get into this here, is that right now we're having to chase people down for payment. There's penalties according to state law that would be applicable that we can impose upon that as well. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, you're currently negotiating with a firm essentially to take on the responsibilities of acting as a debt collector on their behalf. So the city wouldn't have to go into debt collecting as well. So we can actually utilize their services in doing that at no cost to the city because the state law provides for, I think, a 20% increase. Oh, even better. So that they would basically be making it off of that. So we wouldn't have to shell out any additional money to chase those funds. Essentially, that's by law permitted.
If I could interject a little longer. We're not looking for any layoffs. What we're looking to do is to be unpaid staff members. We're going to make it easier for your staff to do their jobs more efficiently and effectively. The foreclosures, I don't know if anybody's ever seen the documents of a foreclosure. What it says is Chase Bank has filed a foreclosure at 123 Lovers Lane in North Chicago against Mr. and Mrs. Jones. Which Chase Bank? There's over 15,000 branches nationally. That's what the gentleman was just saying. It takes hours, if not days, to track those people down. That department, your department, doesn't have 150 people sitting at a computer all day long doing research. That's what our people do. It is a little bit more difficult to find the vacant properties. Because the corporate office for Pro-Champs is in Melbourne, Florida. We don't have eyes all over the town. So what he was saying was, as somebody identifies a vacant property, they just send us the address, we find the owners. So we work together hand in hand. Yes, it is true, staff, whether it's Waukegan or Rockford that we signed up earlier, could do it. But they don't have the manpower or the man-hours to do it.
Okay. Alderman Evans got a question.
How many people you have on your staff?
140 full-time people.
140? So how do they get paid?
By the $100 that we collect.
Right.
To give you an idea, for Illinois alone last month, there was over 8,000 registrations. 8,000 times $100 just from one state, that's a lot of money.
And where are they located at?
Melbourne, Florida.
140. They all in Melbourne. So you're going to be doing like checking everything out from that distance to our courthouses and going through our files and everything.
No, we don't go through your files. We go for vacancies. We will ask for assistance. For the foreclosures,
Assistance from who?
From your staff to say, is this house vacant? Can you send someone to that address, just verify that it's vacant? That's all we ask to be done. And in talking to Nimrod earlier in one of the meetings, a lot of that data already exists. They have collected that data, but they haven't collected the registrations.
Well, you have 4 people in your office, right? 5, 6, 7, 8. You got 8 people in your office. How many people in your staff? No, because you got a whole staff. So what is the staff doing?
So there are a total of 3 inspectors and 1 part-time inspector. 2 of the inspectors are city employees, and then the 1.5 inspectors are contractors with BNF code, construction code services. The 2 inspectors that we have on staff deal with vacant properties throughout the community and code enforcement. They, from time to time, have to go out to these vacant properties and conduct inspections as part of the registration.
And you have Nimrod, and then you have 2 ladies that's in the back.
Well, the ladies would process the payment and schedule the inspection. The inspectors are the ones that do all the research, go through all the public documents, and that is very, very time consuming.
So you got 2 processors?
I have 2 staff members that process the registration and have other duties.
So
that's one of their tasks.
No, see, what I'm trying to figure out here is that you were trying to contract this out. So that's what's happening here. We're trying to contract this out. So my question is, what have we been doing with these vacant properties and vacant land? How have we been approaching these people about these properties? What have we been doing that's going to be different from his company?
What we have been doing is we have been doing all the manual research ourselves, going through any and all public documents, sending any and all letters that we can, hoping to get a response from a party of interest. And again, that is very time consuming. And by the service that is being offered here, what we're hoping to do is be a little bit more efficient and be able to do a little bit more with the same amount of staff that we have.
More so than even that, Alderman, what wasn't mentioned is the software they provide is an online-based web platform, so it can be made, that data and information can be made readily available to any city staff. So if somebody from the police department at midnight is driving past a property and they're like, well, is that a vacant property or not? They have full access to that. We can give them administrative rights to access that. Anyone from the fire department shows up at a vacant building there was a fire that happened overnight, they can access that information on site at that time. It may even save the city money from having to call in one of our code enforcers or building inspectors during those events. There might still be a case where our staff does have to show up, but that could be a time-saving or a cost-saving endeavor in that sense. Moreover, because it's a web-based platform, it's a Access or Excel-style database that they store this information. At any given time, if staff wanted that information, we can send them a quick email, and within 12 hours, if I remember correctly, they will send us a response with that full amount of data, which we can fully integrate into our GIS systems if we want to map things out. We can integrate into the Munis software program that the city's purchased and utilizing for through the comptroller's office and other departments here. So it's a somewhat seamless integration without being needed to be like a separate software we have to purchase. Essentially, it's an online web-based platform that we can access at any time. Beyond that, if we even chose to do so, I'm not saying that we would, but we could for free utilize that platform to send notifications out to those individuals. Because that information is stored within their platform, if, let's say, Carrie or Amias wanted to contact that property owner and say, hey, the grass needs being cut, they just simply, it's like 3-4 clicks, type in their note, and it gets sent off to all the involved parties. And it's not just the one, as they mentioned, just the bank or just the property manager. It could be 3, 4, 5 different entities that are involved in the one property. So every single one of those get a touch of that information. Again, it's quite useful in many different ways. I didn't get into the details there, so I apologize up front, but we do see it as a cost-saving measure to the city, as well as a time-saving measure, and then we can focus our efforts, again, more so on tackling those issues without having to spend as much time being in the office. Because part of the problem is we got to spend a third of the day, half the day, whatever on a time in the office to do the research, rather than being out in the field and actually identifying the problems.
Go ahead. Alderman Mayfield.
Currently, with the foreclosures, do we even have the capability to know when someone is in foreclosure? I mean, Mr. Stan came, and already he's saying there's 81, properties that are in foreclosure, which is great information to have. But do we don't even have that capability, do we?
We do get information sent to our clerk's office from the county anytime a foreclosure proceeding has moved forward. But as mentioned, the information that's provided is somewhat limited. It doesn't provide all those specific details that we would be able to pry from the ProChamp software program. So the information does get to us, then we need to chase them down and see if it's the right person, and if it isn't, then we got to find the next person. And again, it becomes a very difficult endeavor for us to pursue, especially when we're talking about currently, as it stands, $100. We might spend well over $100 in staff time just pursuing that.
Yeah, it's very time consuming. So I can see where your product, your service would save the city a lot of time and money, and we can be, the limited staff that we have, we can be putting them to better use.
Another number to consider. Let's just say we have 80 foreclosures for simple math.
Mm-hmm.
If under the current ordinance you were able to register all 80 at $100, math, $8,000.
Yeah.
If you go with our plan, you're going to end up getting $32,000.
Right.
That can offset the cost of some of the staff members. More importantly, as a city manager, it offset a lot of costs of cutting grass.
Yeah, so one other thing we have to remember, because there is situations when a foreclosure proceeding does move forward under state law, any debt that's incurred essentially gets wiped out. So it's hard for us to chase that. And so whenever we can collect as much money up front, it's definitely a benefit to the city.
There's another advantage in your utility department. I'm certain from past experience, personal experience, that you send out water bills and garbage pickup bills. And you send them to vacant houses that are foreclosed. And what happens? That comes back. And what happens with that? It's put in a file and put over there. And nobody ever collects it. Now, as he said, you can give access to every staff member in North Chicago if you want to. I made sure everyone in my utility billing department had access. So when that bill came back, they put it in a new envelope and sent it right to the bank. because they had the address at their fingertips.
And I think the biggest selling point to me also was a lot of times when we had discussions with different groups, they're coming to us. I actually reached out to ProChamps in this case because of the good word that was provided to me by other municipalities. And specifically looking at their list of clients, there are plenty of communities here that look and feel a lot like us, demographically, income-wise, and the like. And many of the other software providers out there, they tend to be, big cities, wealthy communities, and don't have communities as similar to us as they do. And so in that respect, I can see that it has some benefit to those communities, which I would hope it would somewhat similarly apply here. Again, so that's a big selling point on my end. The fact that no one has backed out, and the fact that we can back out if we ever choose to. If we did, not only is it just a 30-day notice, but they will provide us all that data. So anything that we have utilized thus far with them, we get that data back and we can use it however we choose to use it.
Right. Go ahead, Alderman.
We got this program, this computer program that we're supposed to be having in the city that's supposed to be coming, that we're paying a lot of money for. And what I don't understand is that we're going out to get someone else to do a job for us when we should be here providing for our city, ourselves, and our staff. If they that short and they don't understand how to go out there and look at foreclosed properties or foreclosed homes and stuff, maybe we doing something wrong up here. Because if we got to keep going out there to get a contractor to keep doing the work that we supposed to be having services for, I was under the impression that we was providing a service here and had staff enough to go out and look at these foreclosures to find out what's going on. I mean, of course, it sounds good. I mean, your business is good. I'm not criticizing your business, but all I'm saying is, if we here as a city, and all the time that we're trying to do something for this city, and all we know how to do is go out, reach out, and get a contractor, we're not providing the service that we need. We should wait. It's okay to get contractors, but not to continually over and over to get contractors. We should hire someone. If we need help, we should take the time out to look into this city and say, well, we need to hire 1 or 2 more people. Because yes, you saying it's not that much, but I'm sure the cost is coming. It may not be today, but that cost is coming tomorrow.
Well,
No applause.
anybody got us? I'm just, from my point, we should be always looking at cost saving. I don't care what no one say. You do it in your homes, you do it everywhere you go. You look at cost reduction. I just feel like it's a good opportunity. You got 2 years to come in here, and you got data to work with now. You see where you was in 2019. 2 years later, you can look and see where you was. Data don't tell you a lot. Numbers don't lie to you. You look at it and say, okay, this is what it cost me to run this here. He's at $27,000. So I'll put on it for a vote up or down on the next 2 weeks.
And if I
So
can,
we
also,
talk all.
we do have to remember that the city only started to become more aggressive on this by hiring a consultant previously. Anjanetta was the individual that we hired on. And since that time, since her leaving, it's been very difficult for us to keep up with things. We have, but it's been very challenging. As I mentioned, without basically spending the money on doing a title search, either utilizing staff to do that or our attorneys to do that, it's quite challenging to find an appropriate party to contact on the first try.
I could add something, and I'm not here to defend staff or condemn staff, but we've only talked about one job duty that this staff is performing: researching foreclosures and vacancies. The inspectors go out, yes, but they also go out, this gentleman that wants to open up a barbecue place, somebody's got to go and inspect that. Somebody wants to sell a house, they're going to inspect that. Somebody gets a call. So there's more duties to this department than just registering foreclosures and vacancies. So I'm not saying that they've got too many people or not enough, but we need to look at the whole picture of that department. We're just there to help make it more effective and efficient, at no cost to the village.
No cost, okay.
That's it.
Thank you, appreciate it. All right. Thank you, Stan. Bring it. We'll go to number 4.
You gentlemen don't have a good memory.
What's that?
You don't have a good memory.
Okay.
We met 2 years ago at the IML conference.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Okay. I meet some. Number 4, discussion of gaming license of at 1720 Sheridan Road. You got the owner, he can come up.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Would you state your name, so for the record?
Awad Samhan, the owner of VIP Food and Liquor, 1720 Sheridan Road.
Would you spell that, so for,
Spell the address.
spell your name?
Oh, my name, A-W-A-D. My last name is S-A-M-H-A-N. Awad Samhan.
Thank you.
I'm reapplying again for the gaming license on 1720 Sheridan Road. I'm trying to create more revenue for my business. Maybe open up a restaurant inside. And the only thing I'm asking for is just 4 machines, just for that little spot I have. And I'm sure Alderman Evans and Alderman Allens came and saw it. And it's just to see, like, to be successful in that business and to create more revenue and try to do as much as we can in that business.
Any more questions?
And I don't know if like any questions or concerns about the business, that what do I need to do more to get it or not?
Alderman Evans?
I know you had provided that bathroom that was requested.
Yes.
And everything. How do you expect, I noticed you said food. Explain how you're gonna expand that?
The food?
Yes.
Well, okay,
Or even the building itself. Did you go in there?
Yeah.
We have a 12-door walk-in beer cooler. We're trying to cut that to like 4 doors. Then that will gives us a lot of space to open up a nice restaurant there. Not like, it's more for the people that's coming in. There's a franchise called Crispy Crunch, and they're more famous down south, and they open up inside businesses. And they provide like, not big, but small inside, and it provides a lot of business. But I do need capital for that. You know, they're not cheap.
Okay. Okay, well, go ahead. Alderman Mayfield?
So, Awad, where you would have the potential restaurant, when would you be looking to do that if you did get the machines?
No matter than a year.
Okay, within a year?
Yes.
And that would be toward the back of the of the store now?
The beer cooler is huge. It's 12 doors. We don't need that. That's too much. All we need is 4 doors. That will take out the walk-in cooler that we have, and it's pretty old too. We're just gonna have like a 4-door small cooler towards the back.
Okay.
And the wall, we'll have a very empty wall right there, and that's where the restaurant will be.
Okay.
I think it's a good idea.
Okay. You gotta believe.
I hope so.
If you don't believe.
No, they're like, really, like,
I think a restaurant there would be a good
yes,
idea.
especially
too.
fried food.
Yeah.
You know,
Quick.
Crispy Crunch, they come to small businesses, and they're very famous in the South, in Tennessee, because I have a lot of family in Tennessee, and every store they own, they have Crispy Crunch inside, and they're very, very successful. But it do cost money to get them in, so.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, you're welcome.
Number 5, discussion of liquor in the gas station establishment.
So you're going to put that back on the agenda for next week, or is that what your plan is, or?
What, for the,
For his license?
oh, we'll see.
Oh, I didn't hear, I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah.
You put it on? You put it on?
It got to be somebody that voted down before, 'cause I ain't.
Yes.
But, okay.
We'll put it back on for next week,
Well,
For next council meeting?
for the next council meeting.
I'll let you know.
I know.
I'll let y'all know. All right. That's my committee.
No, but
Yeah, yeah.
you said you didn't vote it.
I voted down.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm saying, but I don't know if I put it down this month, next week or week after, I don't know, I'm just saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Anyone, you wanted to say?
Hi, how you doing? My name is Kareem Merchant. I'm an owner of the gas station at 22nd and Lewis. We are here to apply for a liquor license. My plans are also involved putting a Mexican restaurant inside the station. Hopefully, it won't take more than a year. Initially, we did all the work is done, so now waiting for the equipment and stuff to come in. Like I said before, we've been there for over 17 years, family run. We grew up there. I was 17 years old when I started. Now I'm 52 some. So.
Young man.
Thank you. The situation here, we are competing with the very, very big people. Since the dollar store opened a few years ago, business trend completely changed. We used to sell a lot of cleaning supplies and all those things, and now everything disappeared. Now, not easy to compete with them anymore. Tobacco, they are cheaper. I mean, soda pop, they are cheaper. So going forward, looking at next 5-10 years, property taxes and expenses are getting very, very high, and to survive in a mama and pop kind of situation is not easy. So I'm humbly requesting to get granted a liquor license. It's going to be very minimum. It's going to be behind the counter, $5,000-7,000 worth of inventory. Very limited best sellers are going to be available. Customer not going to have access unless they ask for. We have, we're going to serve them. So it's not going to be like a liquor store or thousands and thousands of dollars worth of inventory. It's going to be minimum. We have a room of about 4 or 6 feet behind the counter. It's going to be small shelvings. And the idea is customer comes, they don't go empty, They don't leave other stuff because we don't have certain items. So my request is to please go ahead, grant me.
Any questions?
So he wants hard liquor, because you already have beer and wine, correct?
Yeah.
This is the reason, people bring their stuff in the counter.
So it's not, I heard your proposal. I'm just saying it's not just liquor, because you already have beer and wine.
Right.
You want hard liquor brought to your gas station, which will open up that same request for all the gas stations around.
Right.
Yeah, when we initially got the beer license about 2.5 years ago, we asked.
And the same thing that you were bringing to the table now is why we brought the beer and wine to your store. That same reason that now you're bringing is what we brought for the gaming parlor into your store, and now you're coming back saying it's still not enough and you want hard liquor.
At that time, we applied for a hard liquor, and the thing was that we have to wait a couple of years, so it's been more than 2 years. And you can see, I can show you the numbers. We hardly justify the sales of the beer, then the license fee and the insurance and all those things.
Okay. Alderman January?
Thank you, Chairman. Mayor, how many liquor stores do we have on MLK?
Liquor stores?
Liquor stores.
3 that I can count.
Okay.
TPEs?
TP,
Yeah, that's three.
You
got Radijacks,
IGA, and then one across
and
the
West
street.
Side.
Yeah, West Side.
Radijacks and,
No, Radijacks is over off of,
Oh,
you're
and-
talking about just on on Martin Luther
oh,
King.
Martin Luther King, okay.
There's 3 that I
The
can,
gas station is on the corner of MLK and Lewis.
and Lewis.
Okay.
So all of them have it. We cannot compete with them. This is one of the
Okay,
reasons.
but my question now is, how do you anticipate to compete against 3 liquor stores along the same strip of street that you are on?
Right. I mean, they do a lot of business and stuff. For us, if we get a couple $100 extra, that's gonna help us a lot. I mean, revenue-wise, what they bring to the city and what gas station does, I mean, it's day and night. If you know how many licenses and stuff we bring, and gas tax, we pay fire department $500 a year. I mean, none of those things happens with the liquor store. So gas station does a lot for the city than the liquor store. And recently, I think one of the liquor store got the gaming license. So they're taking away everything with the minimum efforts. For gas station, we have to go through so many different permits and license and trainings and stuff. So I humbly request, please.
Go
I
ahead.
just am concerned with, and I hear his statement, I'm just concerned with it, because every time an entity has come to, in front of this city council, come to the mayor requesting because of this reason, that reason, I need this now, I need that now, and looking where our city is sitting, we have so much gaming, so much liquor, that how are we going to do any kind of economic development if we continue at this pace? Everybody wants something. And there has to come a time when we put a stop to this. This is getting outrageous with the request. I just don't see the need for gaming in a liquor store. I don't see the need for gas stations to be having liquor and hard liquor and all of that in gaming. I just don't get that. I don't see it. I get it. It gives revenue. But again, eventually that revenue that stream is going to level out. You're not going to get any more. So we need to start looking to the future, not to the here and now. We need to also look at that future. And what's the future that we want for North Chicago? Do we want North Chicago to be known as the liquor and gaming capital? If we do, then great, that's fine. Then let's move forward that way. But I don't think that's the vision that we want for North Chicago. I know that's not what I want to see. So I'm concerned.
Okay.
These requests keep coming up, and more is being added, and we're obviously not doing anything about it, but allowing it to happen.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Alderman Markham?
Did you request this be brought up?
Well, I put it on, it was somebody.
So you were approached about this?
Yeah.
Okay, because this is in the 5th Ward.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is the first time I'm hearing about this.
It's on an economic,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's in the 5th Ward.
yeah.
Brought it up before.
Okay.
Let me say something.
Go ahead, Alderman Evans.
Mr. Chairman,
What,
that's not a gas station.
what's that?
At 22nd and Lewis,
That's a gas station.
Yeah.
that's not a gas station. There's no pumps there at all.
Yeah, it is. No, you're
That's a
talking
gas
about across
station.
the street on the other side.
The street it is.
Yeah, that's where he's at.
But on the other side is not.
That's North Chicago
Oh,
Auto.
Yeah, you talking about, yeah. Go ahead, Alderman Evans.
In the city of North Chicago, we have gas stations that have liquor, whether it was done 30 years ago or whether it was today. In the gas stations currently, we have slot machines we've set up here and voted for. Now, for people to sit here and being shocked as if this stuff isn't something new, it's not, because this is what's been going on for the past, within a 10-year period, I would say. They serving beer and wine. They have those in the gas stations. We now have a liquor store with machines in it. We currently do. So that is coming up on this agenda, but I just thought I'd bring it up right now. It's no surprise to no one. Should nobody be surprised sitting up here? Just as I know, I mean, maybe you don't know. I don't know whose decision, but if you go into these stores, because I know a lot of us is going into these stores. I see a lot of flyers. I see a lot of different things, whether it's in these stores with beers, wine, or whatever. It's there. I mean, there's nothing that you can just prevent. And I understand for those that's not interested in it,
I mean, I'm not telling people gamble. I'm not telling people to drink. But people gonna decide on what they're gonna do, whatever way, whether they do it here in North Chicago or whether they do it in Waukegan. It's the same thing that goes on with the cannabis that's out, the new product that's out that everybody is trying to get involved with. It's the same concept. Everybody they have a goal. So, I mean, that's just their goal. Unless someone could bring something into this city, if they could bring businesses, and I think everybody been sitting here long enough, if they could bring a store or something that's quality that they feel that North Chicago needs, we're open. We are open city to a lot of people, and we got open land for those things. But it's just been, unfortunately, we've been presented with a lot of different things, such as the things that we've passed ourselves, such as those slot machines, such as that beer and wine, such as anything that, I mean, the restaurants, barbershops, that's what we have. We have those things in our city, so that's the way I see it. Okay, thank you.
Alderman Markham.
Yeah, when this gentleman, with no disrespect to him, wanted to have beer and wine at his establishment, I brought in signatures from residents.
Right.
I brought in information stating why it shouldn't have been that then. And you all voted against what I suggested and voted with them. Now he's requesting to go a little further. So I'm just stating that that's how it goes up here. You bring the information in to say, well, this shouldn't be, and then it's voted for, and then it continues to keep going and going. Now, my point is there needs to be a place where we say no. Now, there are establishments from Green Bay Road all the way down that sell all type of liquor, hard and soft, or however you want to say it. You can get drunk from Green Bay all the way to Lewis.
Right.
All right? So the fact of the matter is there's enough establishments selling all type of liquors on ML King. Now, we're trying to set a precedent with this Sheridan Crossing. So what are you presenting to anybody to come in and want to do something on Sheridan Crossing when you've got all these type of gaming establishments and liquor establishments right on your main thoroughfare? You're not saying much. So if you want to help with Sheridan Crossing, you're going to have to do something about ML King. It should be a street or it should be an avenue along with Green Bay Road that presents an image to others to want to come in with more than just a liquor store or more than just gaming, to want to come in to North Chicago and bring businesses. But if we keep bringing these type of things in there, they're not going to do it. So again, prior to this situation here, I presented information from residents. I had signatures from residents saying they didn't want that there. And when I brought it in here, you all voted to have it done. So I'm declaring myself in this, okay? And I won't vote for this.
Gentlemen, let me explain you. This is like a family-run, all bright, secure, safe place compared to other places. And we just need a, fair playing field with the 14th and Lewis Avenue. They're taking all our revenue. And we being in the city of North Chicago, we pay gas taxes, they don't. So our running a business is more expensive here than there. I mean, we're not asking anything special. And like I say, it's not going to be like a liquor store, like a 4 or 5 feet worth of a shelving inside, behind the counter. So I don't see any problem. And we, Alderman January just mentioned three liquor stores in the same district. So yeah, we might share some revenue. We might get $200 from them, and that's what we need. We don't need a lot. And I keep saying I'm the only one out of 7 gas stations in North Chicago, family run. They are all big corporation or landlord operated. So it's not easy to survive.
Can I ask you just one question? No disrespect. Where do you live?
I live in Northbrook.
Okay, thank you.
You asked me this a couple
Thank
years
you.
ago.
I asked you that privately. I just want to hear that again.
Here, 17 years, but that,
Right.
I think that
You've
makes
had your,
me,
you've had your business here,
Yeah.
but you live in Northbrook.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. We're going to go to the number 6, review discussion of city surplus property. You want to, Victor, you want to come up? We have some requests about the property that we have, how we distribute that property out to the, to Habitat and to the other partnership we have with the other cities, other companies.
Okay.
Like Mary Ellis there. Will you explain to some of us about how that property is, it's not that the city, when they get that property from the county, then you partnershiping with Habitat and with the Mary Ellis, them, how they do that?
Sure.
Yeah, would you explain that to us?
Sure, no problem. So back in January, the city adopted an ordinance. This was actually an amendment to the city code that adopted procedures for the sale of surplus real estate. And so in that amendment, what was created, what actually was already in the books were a few procedures, sale procedures for surplus real estate. One, there was the appraisal method. 2, the auction method. But as a result of this amendment, we created the public interest method.
Okay.
The public interest method was used to sell surplus property to a purchaser recognized for promoting and creating affordable owner-occupied housing opportunities within the city. Now, here's the important part. Preference shall be given to tax-exempt, not-for-profit corporations based within Lake County. That's the additional method that was created, and then the side yard program. We have.
Okay, is everybody back in?
Yes, sir.
Yep, we can carry on. Will you state your name for the records?
I'll have them come up and introduce themselves.
Okay.
Most of you know me, Kevin O'Connor,
We know you.
an attorney, but here's what I had promised many years ago to you guys. I said, when there's an opportunity for economic development, I'm going to try and bring it to you, okay? And let me give you a little preface here about the concerns of when people talk about liquor, gaming, when you got to compare the drawbacks to the benefits that you're going to get. So when you talk about, hey, I'm putting gaming into your community, I think somebody did the statistics. I think this community is getting about $24,000 a year from the gaming aspect of this. So you're a month, $24,000 a month. So you're sacrificing a lot for that $24,000 a month that you're getting. Comes to the liquor, I don't know the numbers, but I'm sure it's not at $100,000 a year. When you're talking about, and this is a different aspect, when you're talking about the marijuana aspect, you're talking between $1 million and $3.5 million a year that would come back into the community. So we're talking about different numbers, different aspects. And I know there was talk and there was people that were against some of what's going on when you talk about dispensaries, because now you're handing people marijuana. You've got all this traffic, you've got all these things going on. You guys said, hey, I'm going to let one go out on Route 41, where you might have problems of people coming in, people using, people out on the street. You're putting them out on 41. Who knows what's going to happen, right? You got a lot of concerns with you're giving this product to people. Now we're at the second phase. That was round one. Second phase is craft growers, infusers, and transportation. Craft growers, this is all indoors. It's all in an industrial setting. Nothing happens outdoors. They aren't growing these plants outdoors. Infusers are just taking the plants and creating products with them. And the third part is just transporting it to deliver it to the various sites. This group of Voc is somebody that is really got their stuff together. I'm going to let you introduce and do to them and talk with them. I think you got in what the issue is. So when you file for these licenses now, there's only 40 licenses throughout the whole state that are going to be dealing with craft grow, infusing, and transportation. Very limited. These licenses now are much different. There was a lot of people that applied for dispensing licenses. When you do these ones, you have to have an actual location that is already in your application. So you're talking about people that have to buy properties, that have to have serious leases. There's a lot more to it. There's going to be a lot less applications. This has to be sophisticated people that are involved in this particular aspect. What does it all mean? And I'll let these guys describe. You need to pick a location within the city that you would be willing, because at this point, you don't have an ordinance that relates to this, but you have to have an area that you'd be willing to say, you know what, we'll let somebody have a manufacturing aspect that's all indoors, that would be able to do this to serve the entire community. I know that this community has already received, they have one already from Moline. I know they have already one from Savannah. The mayors there actually gave them TIF funds to do it because they were so excited about the amount of money. They're not asking for that. So to come back over here, they're competing now with me, either McHenry or here for the last one that they were going to do. I asked them to consider doing it here because I had promised to you guys I would bring that back or try to do something to bring it back, and they agreed to do that. But what they need at this point, so in order to apply for the license, which is 2 weeks away, they need, if you don't have an ordinance, they just need something from one of the public officials like a mayor or somebody who's the head of the department that approves it, that says we're willing to consider to have it in this particular area for this particular property, because they're not going to invest whatever it is, the millions it's going to take to have a facility, unless they're getting insurances from the community and from the aldermen that they'd be willing to consider that. So whether it's this group or another group, I'm strongly encouraging you to try and consider it, because the amount of money would be staggering, and I think it could really change with a small, you're talking about 40,000 square foot facility, you can change the whole framework of what you're doing here in this city. So I'll let them, Lonnie and Ron, I'll let them introduce themselves and tell you about their plans.
Good evening, Mayor, Alderman, Leader. My name is Ronald Herrera. I'm an accountant by education. I grew up in the real estate development community. Since 2012, we've been working in the cannabis, basically from the real estate side. I was hired by a group to help them obtain a license in Illinois. And from that, we were able to establish a relationship since 2012. Senator Mike Jacobs from our legislative side, retired. Justin DeAngelis, who is principally one of our leaders, our growers, botanist, biologist. We have scientists. What we bring to the group or to the industry is a different leadership. I'm a Deloitte product, so we bring a different approach towards the business in terms of legitimizing this industry, which has been plagued with so many different types of markets that were non-legal markets. So with that being said, our approach to putting together what we believe is the most quality of teams that have success records across the country in 17 vertical markets, 4 countries, and having licenses in 8 different states, primarily California, Kentucky, Colorado, Nevada. We put together what we believe is the best in breed from experience, from grow houses, having budgets that exceed $1 billion over collectively together. And what's important to us is not just the dollars and cents, but we have had relationships everywhere we go. And we like to build upon those relationships, not come into a community and not hire individuals. With Kevin O'Connor's success in relationships over term, we have been the signature to at least the unions here in Illinois. And we are going to use that approach everywhere we go. So when we go into a community, we want to become your partner. Again, it's not about the dollars and cents, but it's really truly economic development. As Kevin had mentioned, I think you do about $23,000 a month, which is about 1.3 million. Just in our revenue projections, we are looking at approximately 13 million over 5 years. Got it, sorry. Sorry. There we go. On our first go around in this whole process with the state of Illinois, I signed 16 vouchers for application submittals. And this is the result of it being accepted by the state of Illinois. Our team is fully vetted. We have backgrounds on every individual. We have, federal and state background. We all pay our taxes. We believe that out of any of the groups that we run up against, we have most of the incredible state-of-the-art, or I should say innovative knowledge that goes into this industry. Being that, I was part of a group that had 13 licenses in the state of California, very similar to what was offered here in the state as a conversion from medical to the legal market. So with that being said, going in as a partner along with communities, I'd like to introduce you to Lonnie Anderson, and Lonnie can explain what we've done in communities, particularly one community here is a pre-revenue company, bringing in a full staff, educating a full staff, and not only that, but getting them involved, marketing, contract negotiations, analysts, understanding the benefits of what cannabis, what CBD is. One of our founders, Justin DeAngelis, is one of the co-writers and contributors to the CBD bill in Kentucky. He is an advisor. When we come into a group, or I should say into a municipality, we assist you. We can help you write ordinances. We could actually help you write, and there's a lot of legal experience out there, but we've done it over and over and over with other municipalities, so it's easy for us to introduce what we can talk about, not legislation, but addendums, referendums, whatever it may be. We're skilled writers, or our team is skilled writers at that. But Lonnie Anderson, I want to talk to, pardon? So of that 13 million that we're projecting, our contribution as to your partner is 2.5% of our gross. So part of what we have, what we look at, and I apologize, I'm not good at this. The 2.5% will represent a 5-year horizon. What that really truly means is that part of how we're going to come into your community, assist in programs and developing people within your community, getting them involved, getting them higher wages. As we are signature to unions, they will have a higher prevailing wage, and that's good for us because we know that we can have them trained. We train them better than anybody that we believe in the industry. So 2.5% is our commitment to North Chicago. It's right from the top. So from our baseline revenue sale, that would be 2.5% coming right back to the community. If we want to talk about security, which is significant, I was basically the coordinator of this team of Oak. Oak has some of the best in breed cultivators, but not only that, but security as well. We've hired and brought on as a partner now Ted Daniels. Ted Daniels is noted around the world as a leader in security, not just special forces in the military for the United States, but also he has been on every media outlet when it comes to security. He's a declarated soldier. He wrote the rules and regs for the mountain police. He is the most sought after cannabis security analyst and protector. So rest assured that our security systems will all integrate with whatever you have here with your locals. First response, anything related. We cover from every depth, from perimeter security to basically in-house security. And all of it is being monitored and tracked. It's a highly regulated security business, and we believe we have the best in breed as our chief security officer. So it's teams like Justin DeAngelis, Ted Daniels, Kevin O'Connor, Lonnie Anderson, individuals who've worked in this business long enough understand that from their different vertical is that we're not coming in here asking you to give us a building or recommend. We're here to become a partner and to do what we know, what we do best. and that's hire practices where we can all share in this endeavor. Lonnie?
Thank you, Mr. Herrera. I want to say good evening to Mr. Mayor and the City of North Chicago and this council. My name is Lonnie Anderson. Mr. Herrera didn't mention that we're a minority company. I was one of the first African Americans on the floor of Chicago Mercantile Exchange. I was the first Black American restaurateur in Greektown, the city of Chicago. I bought laundromats in some of the most blighted areas in the city of Chicago. Volunteered 60 hours of my time to teach individuals how to read, public speaking. I do everything. And my parents my mom was my mother came from Jamaica and Haiti, so I know what it's like to be economically disadvantaged. I know how to overcome obstacles, and I integrate those skills in Vogue as well. And so when we look at our economic, social equity participation, we often talk about what we're going to do to communities, how we're going to integrate our communities into our scheme or our plans, and it often goes unwarranted. But that's not our case here in North Chicago. What we want to do, some of the things that we do here is we teach people, be gainfully employed. We also incorporate the community. We want to hire from North Chicago. So what we're going to do then, depending on the applications that are approved, we're going to start out with anywhere between 20 to 45 employees. Well, that number can grow from the 20 to 45 employees to over 200 employees for North Chicago. And I heard earlier that where's the growth going to come from? It goes up to one point, but we know that as we consider the different areas that the cannabis industry can be utilized, is more than just recreational, but typically it dates back to the 3rd century that it was used for medicinal purposes as well. And we see how it's been used. But something I wanted to read and share to this council here, and I didn't want to, we would be remiss if we didn't hit on these points. In Forbes magazine, they mention that the U.S. is expected to exceed $24 billion by year 2025, and creating a projected of 300,000 new jobs in the U.S. alone. Now, more than all of the U.S. manufacturing sector is projected to create combined. So we're creating more jobs than all the manufacturers doing. And with that being said, then, we're looking at on our license basis, those projections can go up or down, but typically we're projecting on the higher end. And we try to use more conservative numbers. And again, here's another aspect that you might want to take note of as well, is that we have an ongoing educational process. So we want to partner with the city of North Chicago. We want to partner with you so that we can change the way many individuals are thinking, whether it's in terms of what cannabis use can be, or more importantly, their ability. Typically, when people have run-ins with the law, they're at a disadvantage right there, and unemployment is stifled. Families are stifled because of the way they're able to interact with their children because they're a felony. But now we're going to help them to expunge those felonies, integrate them into the family, get back into that family integration. We're talking about unionizing our whole effort. So then the pay scale is at a higher level than a normal pay scale. And so then what else does Evoke provide? Well, we provide education. We're partnering with the city of North Chicago. We're teaching. We have speakers come in to speak on various subjects so that we're teaching individuals how to think in a more vertical outreach and just continue to grow. That's how this community wants to do. You want to grow. You want to have individuals that are taken from the community, from the disadvantaged areas, and be gainfully employed.
North Chicago Police Department, the Fire Department, the school district, your Rotary, your opioid efforts, and things of that like. So then we have quite a few things that we are able to do. We were understood that we only had a certain allotted of time. So if you have any questions, I can answer those more specifically. Oh, of course. We talked about how we reach out to the committee and the communities. We started a program in the city of Chicago called Bronzeville. In there, we wanted to hire people right there from the community. So what we did, we contacted the Chamber of Commerce for the neighborhood of Bronzeville, and we were able to hire 10 people right there from those communities. We were able to help some of those individuals have those felonies that were nonviolent expunged from their records. So we're getting them integrated back into the community, and they're being gainfully employed, and that spells revenue for North Chicago. Mr. O'Connor?
All right, you got a question for you, right?
Yes, sir, Mr. Anderson. On this page here, the invoke secure transport,
Yes.
these vehicles,
Yes, sir.
in my ward, sir, all of a sudden, an establishment on 41 has about 30 of, maybe at least 30 of these things on that lot. I was just wondering if there's some sort of connection?
Not as of yet, not as of yet. In fact, I'm glad you asked that question. Mr. O'Connor touched on it briefly. We're talking about just being very non-distinct, so we don't stand out in any shape, form, or fashion. So we're not drawing any unwanted attention to the community and or those areas.
That vehicle would be used as a sample for this presentation.
Right, is there something particular about this for, for security?
No, just as an example.
Okay.
It's a secured vehicle.
But principally, yes, we want to just keep it very
It's on
down
my
low,
face.
non-discreet.
Yeah, I got a bunch of questions.
You got a question? Yeah, Alderman Mayfield?
You mentioned that you're a minority company?
Yes.
So what percentage of your business is minority?
51.
51%? Okay. I was just wondering, because there's a lot of money that you would have to put out, why at this late date are you coming to North Chicago? Because we haven't put anything in place. So you need this done within the next 2 weeks, if I'm understanding that correct?
Yeah.
Explain that legally. So if you have an ordinance, there's, under the rules, and I'm sure your attorney can explain them too, but under the rules, if you have an ordinance in place, you have to have that property approved for this type. You only have it for a dispensary, is my understanding. So you don't have any
Right.
ordinance in place. If there's no ordinance in place, all you need is some kind of letter or something coming from one of the higher officials from the community that you'd be willing to consider it, and that satisfies the requirement of a particular location that you would agree to, that you'd say, like, for example, I agree that if it's out on 41, it's okay. I agree if it's on Commonwealth south of Martin Luther King in that area, that would be okay if it's in that industrial district. As long as you have that, and you have that as a written agreement, that is fine enough for them for the application process, if you don't have an ordinance already in place.
So my question is, because there's a lot of money that you're going to have to pay. We don't have an ordinance, or we haven't even, this council hasn't even decided that we're going to do a dispensary. I mean, not a dispensary, but we're going to do growers. The only thing that we've decided is a dispensary. So there's some sense of urgency if you need us to say that right now or within the next 2 weeks. And I guess the other issue that I have with that there may be other people that, or other entities that might want to apply for it, but because we've been closed, I just don't know that it would be fair.
So you're not approving any one company? You're just saying we're open to a company doing it in a particular location because the companies have to get a license, right? And there's only going to be 40 awarded throughout the entire state of Illinois. The chances of there being multiple companies asking you to have their facility here, I'm going to say, other in the dispensary realm, yes. In this realm, highly unlikely, okay, that you're going to get people that get approved with multiple licenses that are going to want to be in the same jurisdiction. Part and part, I'd call this my fault. They already had locations downstate. They were doing a third one in McHenry, and before I told them to, before they put that to pen to paper out there, I said, please come consider this particular community before you actually do that, because they're only doing 3. They've already got approved in Savannah, they've already been approved in Moline, and they were going to do a third, and it's between here and McHenry after I had encouraged them to do it. So that's ultimately, you just have to be open to it. If you're not open to it, they're going to move on. That's.
I understand. I just asking the question, you know, because it's a lot of money, and it's kind of all of a sudden that they're coming.
Yeah, we're on a timeline because the applications. Our chief writer and really our operations guy would be here. But we're only days away. And so his best efforts were really to focus on the application. Some of these applications there are multiple thousands of pages, not for submittal, because everything is digital, but just the production of it, there's thousands of pages.
David, Mr. Mayor, any comments?
I don't have any at this time.
I just got one, because you was talking about security. We have a security company here that did work in Lake County, did work in North Chicago. They're going to do a presentation on their security. And I just feel that we want to work together with our community. So I'm just letting you know, it's okay. You work with them?
So what happens is the state of Illinois already has approved security vendors.
Okay.
Ted is a designer. That's
Okay.
all he is.
Oh, okay.
But he's a head of security where he designs all of the layout and everything else. But the security, we will be working with security vendors that are approved by the state of Illinois.
So how does one get approved by the state of Illinois if one's here local, that is a security company? Would you work with them to get them certified?
I don't know the process on the security side, on what they have to do to become a vendor. That would come through the Department of Professional Regulation. But certainly if we have I don't know that process. I don't know how they were able to get approved, but there is a list that's already out there.
And part of that list is part of the union group, so if you're committing to be part of a union, to hire people out of the union element, they have to be an approved vendor that are approved by the union if you're going to agree to enter into union contracts. So one of the problems is the people that are on that approved list have already been approved through the unions, and the unions have helped them to get the approval through the state. If you're a non-union group, you're going to run into other problems because the consent decrees say you'll let unions come in. It doesn't have to be union, but you have to open it up that the employees that are going to be working can organize and become unions. So even if this group is a non-union group, I don't know if they are or aren't.
Are you? Okay.
We're licensed through DPR. I'm a licensed security company in the state of Illinois and licensed in the state of Wisconsin as a security and detective agency. And it does go through the state of Illinois. So we are a licensed security company. We provide armed and unarmed vehicle patrol. So that's how it works.
We'd love to work with you.
Yeah, that's how it works. We stay here. Yes, DPR. We're licensed to do all of that.
So
investigative work, detective work.
Hold on a minute. Okay, we're going to come up, please.
So just so you know the process, so from day one, if they use this group, which sounds like it may work, it's not a problem. If you have to sign an agreement in order to be preferential with these applications.
Right.
That says, we're willing to enter into peace agreements with the unions, that's what it's called.
Right.
And they've already entered into peace agreements with all the unions, okay? So they're providing a living wage, getting 401Ks, doing all that stuff for people. So if this group was picked, the people that they hire to work in the facility can get together one day and say, we want to unionize, and part of the peace agreement says you're going to allow them to do that.
Right.
So just so the company knows, you may have to go into a union group or be a part of a union group if your individual people
Right.
choose to do that,
Right.
and then you're going to have to join that group. I don't think it has any effect on the company, but it's certainly going to create higher wages and other things for the particular individual. So
Okay.
they just have to be willing to do that, that's all I'm
Right,
saying.
right. But- Alderman January Howard.
Thank you. Gentlemen, thank you for coming and bringing forth Evoke, your company, and giving us a little bit of knowledge about the growth side of the marijuana. I do appreciate that. I have a couple of questions, though. One is, how do you, because you said everything is enclosed within a manufacturer or plant area. How do you protect the environment, the EPA, with the air and the soil? Because I see that there's a little bit of, not only the growth, but there's probably, it looks like a little bit of some manufacturing to get it to certain products to be infused, the infusion piece. So how do you protect?
Well, we're
that?
committed, Evoke is committed to environmental sustainability through our management policies, through our procedure, our clean air strategy and solutions. We have USGBC and LEED certification that surpasses the certifications that, or the codes and standards that are in place right now. So we have the latest of technology to minimize whatever pollutants that the community would be concerned about. We are at the forefront of all of that.
LEED is synonymous with green, so that's kind of the same element. If you're certified through LEED, that is considered a green element.
In your, if I heard correctly, your natural, organic in your growth and products, correct?
Right.
All the nutrients, filtration systems, lighting, whatever it may be. But to touch more on that, Justin has maybe millions square feet over his management, where they look at quality, is it operating into and how to minimize that and remedy it.
So we have a clean,
You have in place the ability to also protect your employees that are working there so that they're not transmitting oils and the byproducts to their homes, to their family members.
Well, that will be in a sense, but yes, absolutely. I'm talking about the transmission side. Would be very important. But yes, so everyone's protected. Everyone's, wearing gloves, OSHA standards. One of our experts that we have is Rihanna Akhtar, R&A Corporation. She's been in Blue Island. She does about $15 million a year. Does about 400,000 square feet. She's pretty much our OSHA standard expert.
So now kind of knowing that piece, what locations are you looking for here in North Chicago? Have you settled upon an area that you think is going to work the best?
So after just briefly talking with some of the people that are on this group, there's probably only two areas that would ever really work. Everyone talked about out on Route 41 or on Commonwealth, somewhere south of Martin Luther King, where you have a bunch of businesses that are really kind of abandoned. There's really not much, unfortunately, going on down there. People have moved out, like the Emco Chemical people have moved out. King Wire have really kind of abandoned that building. You got a number of industrial settings that are just not being utilized in that area that's down there. And I think that would be the most ideal area where you're putting less of a footprint of anybody on the community. So one of those two areas would be appropriate, I think.
Thank you.
Any more questions? But all I can just say is that is economic growth. If anyone come up with another idea, that what is the pension board we owe? About $20 million? Okay, 30 minutes, I'm just saying. Okay, I'm just giving a ballpark. What? I'm just showing you, maybe, if you got other choices, how we can, I know a lot of people say, well, it's not good, I don't smoke it, don't care about it, but I'm looking at it from a, people got to get paid. And is it an opportunity? I don't know. We just think about it, but everybody got to look at it, so taxpayers are tired of paying their money out. They tired. We can't go to tax, the schools need money, everybody need money. So I'm just saying, there may be a way we can work with them. I don't know, but I'm just letting you know, we're gonna put it on, or up or down if you, huh?
They need to know. How soon do they need to know?
Yeah.
They need to know before.
That's what I'm saying, we gotta put it up, I mean, for the ordinance, I'm saying for the
The
ordinance.
sooner the better. It doesn't have to be a
Let-
specific ordinance.
go ahead.
Just that you're willing.
Let me ask the question then. You speak about a letter. If we submitted a letter to your company saying that we were interested in a grow, first of all, this gentleman to my left has to investigate to see if that is the proper way to go about it, okay? Now, my other question would be then, if that letter was sent out, we still can go through the process, because I think just like the dispensary, you've got to go through a zoning, and the zoning board has to okay it, and the whole process in that respect also. So, I mean, I guess.
So I can show you, I could send to you guys a sample letter that they received from, I think it was from Savannah, from the mayor of Savannah, to what was provided. What they need before they start investing in a particular location is to say, if you win the license, this would be a location that we would consider approving, as long as you meet all the zoning, the ordinances, you meet everything that we as a group want you to meet, that this would be a location that you would agree to. So that's really all the limitation of the letter is saying. We'll agree to this area or this area, and if you have a facility there that meets all of our regulations that we pass to accommodate that. That's really what that's all about. So it's kind of a precursor that they're allowing people to do, because there's a lot of municipalities that haven't passed those ordinances that relate to the craft grow, transportation, and the infusing, which is these 3 licenses. And they're hoping to run all 3 out of the same facility, to have all in 3 different sections of a building. So in other words, they're all cordoned off, but all out of the same building. And everything happens indoors, so it's not like trucks are pulling outdoors. They go indoors, they fill them up, and they leave. It's not going to happen from an exterior standpoint. So everything's indoors, even from transportation coming indoors, so that you don't have that worry of theft or other things going on in the community. So it's a very limited letter at this point. We can share what that letter kind of looks like that would meet the criteria. Now we're getting into the nuances of what legally they want to see related to communities before they'll agree to administer a license to somebody.
Alderman.
Yeah, go ahead.
Attorney had it. David.
Attorney?
Yeah, Mr. O'Connor, did you say that the letter that you would want the city to produce in support of the idea comes out of regulations that have been drafted by the Financial Registration Agency?
No.
Where's this coming from?
So it either can come, according to their inquiries that have come back to the state of Illinois, as long as it come from somebody in authority from the municipality, be it the mayor or the economic, city, not the economic, what is the?
Council?
It's the mayor and chief of staff.
No, I'm mixing up my names now. The zoning people, sorry. The zoning ordinance, the zoning ordinance, head of the zoning ordinance, or the mayor, they accept either one of those particular people. Of course, it had to be discussed with their council, especially when you're dealing with a council, it's not the mayor acting alone. And they have to agree that a particular area is going to work, because if you guys say yes, they've got to go secure a facility. So, or a piece of land to show them plans and ordinances to build. So it's a major undertaking on their part that's going to take a lot of investing. So that's the next step.
Yeah, okay. Alderman
I think
Mayfield? Okay, Dave still got.
Dave had another.
No, if the alderman can go, I can wait on my question.
No, I was just going to ask, so it's 3 businesses? It's the growing, the driving, and the infusion? Is that correct?
Yes.
So do we get 2.5% for each one of those businesses?
Yes.
Okay.
And just so you know, the rules say you can set an ordinance per year of 0.5%. And it can go up 0.5% per year over a number of years. That's what the ordinance says from the state of Illinois, the local municipality. They are voluntarily going to go above that 0.5%, even in the first year, to go up to 2.5%. So I think what they're proposing and what they did in here was 2.5% in the first year of not the gross, but the revenue, and then in the following years, it's actually going to be on the gross as opposed to the revenue, because they want to make sure that they make money first to pay back for all the infusion that they're doing, so.
You don't think you're gonna make money?
They better.
Not a question.
So, yeah, I mean, the IRS is looking at this in so many different ways. So, there's going to be different 280s or Section 4J45s. They're looking at it all different ways. But at the end of the day, after year 2 or 3, we believe that they will be lifted. In other words, we'll be able to have this more. That's why we want to base everything on the gross, not the net. Because some of the net just doesn't apply in this industry yet.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I feel as though we ought to do a little investigation in the situation before we get down, ready to take care of any business here. I would hate to see it put on the agenda tonight.
when?
Tonight.
Oh, we're not gonna do it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
we,
well,
we,
I think we should have a little more time to discuss this situation amongst ourselves.
Okay,
And maybe we might have to do a little bit of investigation also.
all right.
I think Dave had another.
Dave,
So, just for clarification, you have another location in McHenry you're already looking at? Is that what I heard? So what's going on with that location?
They have to make a decision whether they're going to choose a community here or a community there. The mayor is willing, or they're talking already that they're willing to sign the letter that they're talking about. I asked them to please not go ahead with the third one that they were going to choose until they had the opportunity to come here, for 2 reasons. One, I promised to do that coming back here, but number 2, they've got everything going that way. Having one over here to be able to supply Chicago, supply some of the northern suburbs, is going to be of a much greater benefit than it would be to just have everything going downstate.
So are you going for more than one of these 40 available licenses? Okay,
3 of each.
okay, 3 of each. And you already have the letter from McHenry?
No, I don't think that
East Moline, okay. Okay, so you got Savannah, East Moline, and then it's a choice between McHenry and here.
And here.
Got it. So the city council had made a policy decision some time ago, of course, to allow dispensaries, which are a taxable, fully taxable business, in a very defined area along 41. This would be a new business model in this area. So it is a policy decision as to whether you would want to go forward. One more question. Your projections of revenue, what are those based on?
Industry standard, principally really in Illinois, what has occurred and what the future is going to look like. If it's anything of what happened in January, then we are very conservative. $10 million went to the state of Illinois to see that. There's no other city in America that can compete with the opening day of Chicago.
Wow.
No one today. And the first week, by the way, the numbers are just outrageous here. And with that 10 million, there is no cannabis. It's a dry state. So these harvests, maybe next month, will add back into the economy. Because they went, the actual cannabis was gone in the first month. I'm talking about inventory.
yeah, you talking about your. Any more questions, David, you got any more? About it? Okay.
I'm good.
We discussed it. I wish you guys hang around for a couple minutes, just look at some of the presentations from the security. Okay, I appreciate it.
All right.
Mr. Williams, you bring up.
Can I ask one
Go
question?
ahead. You want to ask him a question?
No, I don't want to ask them a question. I
Okay.
thought you were going to pending matters.
Okay.
Is that what you had?
No, I'm on security, gonna come up.
Oh, I know, it's not on the agenda.
Yeah,
That's why.
but we would.
So Bobby, on this, we know when we're gonna be getting back to them, or when they need the letter, or when we're gonna talk about it next?
Well, I think in order to get the letter, it's got to be a vote, and the vote would have to be next week.
That's what I
Our
was
next
saying.
council,
That's what I was,
to vote it up or down to ask for the letter.
that's what I was,
So we're gonna have a special council meeting?
No, at the 16th.
no,
Oh, they can wait until the 16th?
The 16th, right?
No, the
Yes,
application.
they can't wait.
16th.
It's due the
They
16th.
have to, by the 16th, pick a location,
Oh,
have a specific
Right.
location. I'm pretty good at, like, drafting up documents that are legal for people, but I can't do it that fast. So they've got to actually pick a location in North Chicago if they're going to submit it from North Chicago. So if it isn't, it would have to be by the end of the week.
and which week, this week?
This week, not next week.
That's what I was talking about, the sense of
yeah,
it's
yeah.
urgent.
Excuse me, I
And
misspoke.
just so you know, this is not to say you're gonna agree that this particular company, because you don't know if they're gonna get the license. You might get 3 people that get a license and say, we'd like to do it. You're just willing to say, I would let a license of somebody in that area, in that specific location, do the particulars. I don't know if anybody else has come to you to say, I want one in North Chicago. I don't, if they did, they should have went through this process, or it's not gonna happen. Because unless you have that letter from a mayor or from somebody else, they can't do it. They can't have it in this town. So that's the sense that if you don't do it now, you're not gonna get it.
That's what he said.
So we're gonna have to have a special meeting to vote it up or down this
Right.
week.
Just for the letter, yeah.
So what day? We got, 48 hours we need at least?
Saturday. We're leaving out Saturday, so
Not Saturday.
Or what
Thursday?
time we leaving on
Can we do it
Saturday?
Thursday?
Thursday evening.
We'll have to see if Adam's available.
Okay.
Thursday evening, the
Thursday?
6th?
Thursday evening, the 5th.
Okay,
There goes my stormwater meeting.
What,
If you do it at 5, it'd be quick.
5 o'clock?
5 o'clock on Thursday? You can't be here.
6 p.m.?
What time? You can't come at all? Oh,
Okay,
6,
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock?
All right.
all right. Laura, will you put it on for?
Before you start, can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, just a few minutes ago, I was just listening to everybody talking about the sale of the alcohol so I got to bring this up because this is really amazing. This is really amazing to me, and I'm not criticizing what you guys doing. I mean, I can respect it, but just to see this council jump up and talk about they want to do a special meeting because somebody walked in here and told you about $1 million or chase some money or stuff like that. Wake up. Wake up right now. Because right now is the time. Just because somebody told you what amount of money something is, Mr. Fisher said, hey, let's wait a minute. Let's discuss it some more. That's what we should do. Discuss it some more. You don't even know what you're walking into saying, I'm finna go ahead and do this because somebody told me we finna get this amount of money. It ain't promised to you. We've been sitting here just a few minutes ago, Alderman January, she mentioned about 22nd Street. You got a good point. But at the same time, we chasing the money again. So we done went from the alcohol situation to the marijuana situation. I mean, hey, for whoever want to do it, that's their business. But I'm just showing the point here. I mean, we sitting up here, and we the council, and I want to tell you, those votes make a difference because we the ones that's saying yay and nay to this stuff. And if it's not right, you got to make sure. Now, I don't know why you could say no to something that's already legal that people are doing, but then you turn around and you say, well, I'm thinking about doing this because I've been promised $1 million. Well, maybe the man at the gas station can't promise you $1 million, but you chasing the money. You're not thinking wisely. Think about what you're gonna do before you say yes. And I'm not downrating what Kevin and the rest of his crew is trying to do. It could be something good for the city. But if you don't know what you're doing with this, there's no need of voting on it. So, no, I'm not coming to a special meeting. I can tell you that right now.
I'm just gonna tell you the one response. The difference is, are you gonna open another gas station that sells liquor, or are you gonna allow a brewery to come in and give your community manufacturing jobs and sell it to people outside of your community to where you're holding a whole plant? This is bringing in a plant. This isn't bringing in, I'm gonna sell liquor to my neighbors. This is a plant where you're gonna sell it across all of Illinois. This is not, it's
No, I
gonna be
know,
handing out
I know what
samples
kind of
to your
brewery.
neighbors.
I know you're not the
It's
man on the corner. I know you're not signing, I know you're not selling a dime bag, okay? But I do understand what you're doing, okay? I understand,
It's
Kevin.
your ward that they're talking about trying to do it in, which is a big deal.
Oh,
And
this
if you're
is-
against it.
It don't matter,
I'm
no.
just gonna tell you, I'm gonna tell them to move to McHenry.
No,
I'm just telling you, because
Kevin, it's fine.
I'm giving my chance for you.
If they wanna go to McHenry, go. I'm saying this.
Okay.
Okay, I hear what this council is saying. They gonna vote on it. I'm just saying what I'm saying. I sat here and listened to this all night. You sat here, you heard this council talking about it. They had a discussion about the liquor at the liquor store. They was having an issue with it. Soon as you got up here, you started talking about the percentage that they could have off of selling this distribution. Now, I'm gonna tell you.
Selling. Go ahead.
Well, doing whatever, but we have not heard from others. We have not heard from others, and I think it's wrong because they have not given others an opportunity. I told you, didn't I tell you?
But you're
I
not
told
gonna
you.
hear from others. You're done.
You got others out
This round
there.
of licenses, you're done.
Well, I mean, we can't, see, so many times what happens with this city is people come up here, it's just like a budget. You need it done right this week. I gave it to you right now. You got to get it done. That's not the case. It's plenty of time for that. It'll come back. Whether it's done on the 16th, it will be done. Somebody will walk in this door and tell us they got a marijuana plant, they want to do it. Whether it happens on the 16th or not. I mean, it's not,
You're misunderstanding the law as it's written by the state of Illinois.
It
When you're
is.
a craft grower, when you're a transporter, or you're an infuser, when you apply for your license, you're applying for one location. You can't take that license and all of a sudden come over to North Chicago and say, I'm gonna
Okay.
use my license that I'm
Right,
holding.
I understand.
You can't do it. So you have to have a specific location
Mm.
in your application.
well, you
that
said you got
can't
McHenry,
change.
you got McHenry,
They didn't commit to McHenry yet.
but they ain't
And
committed.
That's the point.
Okay.
So that's why it's coming up in an urgency. So if it's an urgency, if you're saying I'm gonna make $25,000 over the course of a year from a new liquor store thing, or $5,000,
Mm.
as opposed to millions of dollars coming to your community,
Hey.
it's worth a meeting.
I was just
That's
showing.
all. You can up
You
up
got
it
the
or down
meeting,
it, but
I
it's worth the
understand,
meeting.
I understand the amount of money, but it's not up to me. That's a,
Well, it's up
that's
to
a
you to show up to
council.
the meeting. It's not up to you.
That's
You
a
either
council.
raise your finger or put your finger down.
I-
That's
hey.
the part that's up to you.
It's okay.
Alderman Allen?
Yes.
I just wanted to say that it doesn't hurt to have a special meeting to even just discuss. Because there is an urgency with this round of licenses, there's no reason that we as a council can't have a quick meeting just to discuss this topic. There's no reason for it to not.
But you
So-
said you couldn't be here.
She's gonna be here. I could at 6.
Oh, okay, I can't be here at 6.
Well, that's up to
Those,
you.
those
but-
that can will be here
Okay,
at 6.
those that can, okay, that's fine. I just
All
can't
we need
come.
is a quorum to
Right.
make the vote.
But I'm just saying, it doesn't hurt to have a meeting.
No, it doesn't.
To discuss. I'm glad to see that we can at least as a council come together and have a discussion. Most of the time, we don't discuss diddly squat around here. So I'd rather see some discussion first. That's all I'm saying is, whether you're here or not, it's up to you, but I think it's worth an extra meeting just to discuss.
Alderman Markham?
I won't be here Thursday.
I'll
And,
be here Thursday.
It's worth the discussion, it's no problem, but when they were getting ready to vote all of this stuff in, we should have been discussing it then. we should have went into detail where these places were going to be put and all of that prior to us coming into the new year. Nothing was discussed. I agree with Alderman Evans that all the time, every time you turn around, we're always pressured into moving something forward or whatever. And, you know, the attorney can make his case and he has the degree to do that, but we are council and we can do what we want to do.
Right.
So, but I won't be there.
All right, thank you. All right,
How you guys doing?
okay, we just, in your name, all three of your names, so we can.
First of all, I want to thank you guys for this opportunity to be here. I want to try to make this. Oh,
Yeah.
My name is Dwayne Williams from Williams Security Protection Agency. I just want to thank you guys for giving us opportunity to come here. I just want to ask these guys a question. As far as your security, is that proprietary security or is that contract security?
All right.
Yeah, contract security. So that's what we are. We're private contract security. And we also are certified through the state of Illinois as a minority. And wherever we are, we hire in-house.
Okay.
So if we get the contract here, the people will be hired. We also train unarmed, armed, as well as private investigators. So the people will be trained in the area, not coming from other areas in. That's been the biggest problem when, you know, we're dealing with this security stuff. That people come in and say, well, we're going to do this and do that. But what happens is they bring their security in. Our security would be trained in North Chicago. I've coached football in North Chicago 15 years. I've done security in Waukegan over 20 years. I've opened a youth center in North Chicago from 2004 to 2006. So I'm in the community. I grew up in Waukegan. I played football, went to the University of Minnesota as a running back. So I'm just, again, thank you guys for the opportunity. Before I start, I want to introduce my manager, Saul. He's out of Madison, Wisconsin. Jose, he is over our contract security. And I would like to introduce Don. He's over the office in Chicago. It's also a detective agency. So we have many facets, and all of our people are trained, baton, handcuffing, everything. I just want to get that out there because I know everybody's been speaking, so I want to be short. So Ira, he's the project manager.
Yeah.
He makes everything work. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
No pressure. Miss Honored and Council, thanks for the opportunity. Just real quick, I know it's late.
But we got time.
Williams Security, as Dwayne mentioned, has two locations. There's a branch in Chicago and a headquarters location here in Waukegan on Washington Street. What we just want to quickly go through is kind of like the crime landscape. We know it's declining, which is good. A little bit about the company, a little bit about the leadership team, some of the experiences that the team has, some of our diversity goals, which we think you might be interested in, and why a number of organizations hire Williams Security. Crime, according to the city ratings.com site, we were able to find that within the greater Waukegan area, per 100,000 people, that the crime rate, projected crime rate for 2020 has gone down about, or expected to go down about 13% from 2016, so that's good news. With crime, you like to have security so that you can do things to try to prevent issues, so you can be proactive as opposed to reactive. And Williams Security provides a number of services. As Dwayne mentioned, unarmed, armed, vehicle patrol, surveillance. Williams Security did a pilot with using drones at the Cinco de Mayo in Lake County last year. They provide executive protection as well as airport protection, construction services, etc. Here's the kind of like the team, and they're some are here, some are not. And just real quick, Dwayne kind of gave you an overview of himself, but he's the lead guy on this and is very professional, believes in being ethical, communicating well with organizations, and making sure that if there are any issues, that they're corrected quickly. Gwyneth is the CFO for the organization. That's her background. She has a Hispanic background. Dwayne is a VP of Operations, gets involved in some of the technology. So with this group, it should everything line up. That there may be, Dwayne would probably be the one that would engage on some of those activities. Teresa is the office manager. She's this is actually her in the office at Waukegan, the Waukegan location. You can see her background. Jose, who's sitting in the back, he's been just a strong asset to the organization. And Al Rogers, I think, has been a consultant. I actually do project management by trade. My background is that I worked for a Fortune 5 company for about 30 years. I retired from that, started a program, project leadership, professional services organization, and have been doing that for the last 14 years. And one of the initiatives that my organization has is community give back. So one of the things that my firm is doing with Williams Security is that we're helping them with processes, and we're trying to help with project management activities and make sure that things that are committed are executed flawlessly or as close to flawlessly as we can. Similar projects, there's kind of 5 that we've identified. Just not too, last month, Williams Security and this team provided executive protection for Bobby Valentino. I mentioned the Cinco de Mayo event, and then a number of housing and security events here in the North Chicago area. Mentioned this was provided armed and unarmed security. Not sure what this organization requires in terms of growers, but should you need armed security or unarmed security, we can provide both. This was a pretty good size event. One of the things that Williams Security does very well is crowd control, and at this event, which was at a pretty major high-end location in Chicago, no incidents. I mentioned earlier that there was an event with the Cinco de Mayo, and we used multiple drones to kind of quickly assess over a wide area if there was any risk that we should be concerned about, so that we can address those issues very quickly. Again, we had provided crowd control services, no issues at the event. In terms of Howard Amol, which was a Sam's Club construction site in Maryville, and again, key point, we hired locally, and this was 100% minority engagement that was provided. Same thing with here in North Chicago, housing, provide checkpoint access and interior protection. The other is North Chicago Days. You're familiar with Dwayne's team with North Chicago. We've worked with the police department, which one of the things I think you want with any security organization is to have a good partnership with the local police, and Dwayne's team is committed to that. Here's some high-level statistics. So on North Chicago Housing Authority, the security that's that's on the team has been 95% black with North Chicago Housing. Chicago Days, 50% black, 25% Hispanic. And as I mentioned before, Maryville, all the hires were, again, local. All of these were local hires to support the communities that they serve. Why organizations work with Williams Security is primarily that hire local and, again, serve, use communities, use resources from the local community to try to build up the community in terms of getting people good paying jobs and helping them be successful so they can take care of their families. And basically, they're very good at what they do. We're very good at what we do. So that's really it. Obviously downstream, we'd like to know if this were to go forward, kind of understand what the decision-making process is, timelines, those kind of things, and next steps. And we'd like to help, whether it's with this opportunity or others here in the North Chicago area. That's really it. I kind of tried to go through that fast so that I didn't keep you late.
Right. Any questions with the security? We just trying to work with them guys so they work with the growth.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
I just want to know, when you hire people, and this is part and part that I have to discuss with these guys, right?
Right.
When you hire people locally, are you hiring them as independent contractors or employees? That's going to be my first question.
Employees.
Employees, okay. My second question is, what's the wage that the individuals are getting and what benefits do they get? Because that's an important aspect to make sure people are getting an appropriate wage and they're getting some kind of, whether it's health benefits or 401K or whatever it is, whatever you guys provide. So that's.
Hi, I'm Don Hayward, I'm operations. He's asked a very good question. He's asking us what we would pay our employees, health benefits, et cetera. I've been doing this about 40 years. I've been a private investigator since 1973 out of the Marine Corps. He's asking us to build a bid right now, we call it. We would have to go to him, his company, ask him what he wants to give these security officers, health insurance, life insurance, whether they're going to pay for uniforms, and based upon that, we would come to some agreement of what your hourly rate would be. I can't tell you how many contracts I've lost over the years based upon pennies, or a contract company will go to another company because of pennies. So I'd have to know a lot more specifics, whether life insurance is offered, uniforms are offered, meals are offered, all that good stuff to build the bid. But we don't use any contract. That's illegal with IDFPR regulations, using contracts, using employees and paying them 1099. You're not allowed to do that at all. We pay them W-2s. Yeah,
I was asking because I wanted to make sure you didn't have a set wage so that if you get paid X, that your
No.
employees are automatically getting Y. I want to make sure that you have a flexible plan that says, hey, if you guys want to pay X, Y, and Z, here's what the amount that goes back, whatever you bid into whatever's doing. So
That's correct. That's correct. We per card all our people. They all go through 20 hours armed. I myself run the security school. I've put about 180,000 people through our school in Chicago since 2008. And we're fully licensed. But these bids are really tough sometimes because employers sometimes, they lowball. And in order for me to pay something, I got to know what they're going to pay, uniforms, union, wages, all that good stuff.
Right.
And you're going to get a quality person for a good wage.
Right.
Are you armed? Are your people? Okay, so that adds dollars to the bid itself.
Right.
All of them are armed with TAN cards through our agency.
Just one question.
So-
The attorney want to ask you a question.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused. Do you have a contractual relationship with Evoke or some other marijuana?
No, I do not.
business?
No, I do not.
No,
just met them tonight.
No.
No. So what are you asking the city council to do?
No, nothing. They just come in and just do the presentation because
Okay.
I had asked them to come in because they need security. So that's what
Right, okay, okay. Just want to make sure I understood what was going on here.
What we're doing is.
We're hope to get that if it comes to North Chicago.
Doesn't that seem to be a conversation you should have with them?
That's true.
Okay,
That's true.
with that, I just want you to come in and bring your presentation. All right, thank you.
Okay, I just have something to say. The biggest problem with contract security, and when you're dealing with these people, what they do is they already pick the company that they want to have already, and they bring it into the area. okay? I've been in security, like I said, over 35 years. You see a lot of these companies, they know your license, they know you're minority, so what they do is they already have who they want, okay? And in contract security, everybody's allowed to be able to bid or opportunity. And what happens is a lot of this stuff, you don't get opportunity. That's why I said, thank you guys for allowing us to come here, because a lot of places I go, the guys come in, they already have the company or the people that they have, and they bring them in, and that's it. So thank you again for bringing us in, because we do have contract security with license, and I'm pretty sure that he knows that. Any company that's licensed, I didn't hear them actually say the company that they work with. Do you?
There's no company in Illinois because they just applied for the licenses, so they're
Oh,
open, okay?
Well, the reason I asked it, because I knew already. So the reason I asked that is because they don't have a company that's licensed here. So what they're doing is they're trying to look for somebody to do it. But here's the thing, we're licensed, and we're here. So the person that they have is the security exact specialist. He's in-house. He works for that company because obviously he's not licensed, like he said, through DPR. I am. Look it up. That's the problem. So what they need to do as a company, they have to come in and find a company. So the ones you have in McHenry and other places, I'm right here. I'm licensed through the state of Illinois, and a plus for your company is I'm minority certified. And if you don't understand that, our partnership up with a woman security that's certified, right? A DBE that's certified. I noticed that you have a young man here that's 51%, and I understand, why they need you with that 51% is to, okay, I understand. I'll end it there. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't have anything on the pension.
Yes, sir, I have something.
Right.
Benny Matters?
Yes.
It's with, yes, sir. This, on Sherman Avenue, the daycare center, okay, what's going on with that?
The daycare centers, so the owners have recently acquired possession of the building. The owner was out to check out the building about 2 weeks ago. They are working with their broker from CBRE, Richard Ellis, to put together a marketing package. I have given them a list of local daycare operators, of which the broker, Stephen Schwartz, has been reaching out to them to see if there's any interest from local operators in the available daycare space. Well, the preference is to lease it or sell it to another daycare, but they are exploring all other options. But that's what they're trying to do right now, is to
That entity is.
filing for bankruptcy.
So, who owns the property?
North Star Commercial Partners out of Denver.
And so basically, they have to take care of property tax and all that.
That is correct.
Thank you. You guys have anything on the pending matters, economic? I'd like to entertain a motion that we adjourn the Economic Development and Planning Zoning Committee meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Mayfield, second by Alderman Evans. All in favor saying aye? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
Okay, I'd like to open up the Building License Community Development Committee meeting. Roll call, please.
Alderman Fisher.
Present.
Alderman Mayfield.
Present.
Alderman Evans.
Here.
Alderman Allen.
Here.
Alderman Markham.
Present.
Alderman Runnels.
Here.
Alderman January.
Present. I have a two-line item agenda. First is discussion of Community Resource Center and build-out, former police records area, and then pending matters. And I'm going to open the discussion up with Deb to provide information.
Thank you. Standing before you to give you some, it's for information only because I want to get ahead of something. I don't want to come to you at the last minute. Should our estimates in the records room get toward the $20,000 threshold where we have to go out for bid. So anyway, long time ago, many of you sent us some information about a grant. We call it internally the opioid grant. And the police department did apply for the grant, and they did receive it. So it's $200,000 a year for 3 years, for a total of $600,000. So that is to provide certain services to the community, including a social worker, and help with chemical dependency issues. That service is going to be held in what's now the records room. So the records clerk is now in the finance department in the comptroller's office. So the records room will be repurposed into a community resource center. So what's going to happen now is the community resource center has cinder block walls. We've been talking to a contractor to do kind of a vanilla box build out. So to drywall it and hide some of the electricity and get better lighting in there and so on, to have a better space for the social worker and the people who will be coming in and using the room. We have, as you know, AbbVie has a week of possibilities every June. For many years, they've been working with the schools and been creating some beautiful spaces. Last year, they did the library and created a beautiful space there. So this week, they're taking on our community resource room as one of their projects for the week of possibilities. So 10 volunteers will come, and they'll do they'll paint the entry in the resource room. They're going to complete some furniture assembly, stage the furniture and supplies. They'll be here for that week. The North Chicago Community Partners will provide them with lunch and hospitality and help out the AbbVie volunteers. So on this page, on this document here, you have the layout of the records room and what is planned to be done potentially. So if you go to the top right, that's the entry, the police department entry. One of the things they're going to do is they're going to do a mural. So they're going to do kind of the outline of a mural in the entry of the room, which will continue into the Community Resource Center. And then during a certain time period, invite the community to come in and kind of do like a paint by numbers project where they can come in and get the paint, and so it'll be a community-wide art project. So that's the mural that will come in from the police entry into the community resource room. Like I said, drywall. There's a door that goes to the deputy chief of police on the far, I don't know what it is, but on the left side of the paper. 2 modular desks there, 2 modular tables, a relaxing space with a couch and chairs, a technology workspace, a whiteboard or a smart board will be also in that room. On the back page, you'll see we've had some contractors come in and provide us with estimates. I'm expecting to get more in, but my concern was, if you see this estimate, with vinyl flooring is $17,000, and that's close to the threshold for where I have to go out for bid. So I don't want to come to you at the last minute and say, oh, I got to go out for bid. I want to let you know what's going on first, just in case the other estimates come in to where I'm going to have to ask you to do that. Does that make sense? Any questions?
Yes.
I do want to let you know that, so like it says on here, this is part of the opioid grant, $600,000. There's the other grant for the shot spotter cameras allowed us $130,000 to do basically whatever we wanted to that had something to do with policing work. So a portion of that grant, because the AbbVie volunteers will be doing the work in the room, a portion of that grant is going to be used for the furnishings and then the build-out of the vanilla box. So we estimate that to be approximately $50,000. And the total of that was $130,000 from that shot spotter grant.
How did you find this Townsend? How you find that company? There?
That was from the Chris Tricos, the buildings facilities manager. So he has a couple more that are coming in.
Okay, because
yeah,
we have companies in our city that got licensed through the city.
Mm-hmm.
Did we notify those guys?
I did not have anything to do with this part. I just said that you have to get this information to some contractors and get some estimates. So he has all the lists he works in ECD, so he knows who's licensed here, so he should be working with them. He knows we need to work with people in the city.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying, because every time I look at these, I never see nobody from the city that we are trying to get, because this is a guy right across the street there.
Kingston Neal.
Who is it?
Kingston Neal.
Okay.
Right across the street.
Yeah.
He's a contractor.
But it's
And I never seen him ever, he said they never even contacted him, never when he,
See,
so I'm just saying, but then they go find the other guys, they resign all around the city.
they couldn't.
So I'm just asking the question, that's all I'm asking. I don't,
No, I agree,
so
yeah.
if you're not going, that's a taxpayer right there across the street.
Got it.
Y'all keep the money
So-
in the city. He pay taxes every year. And I ask that question every time.
Yeah, you do.
And I never see nobody, it's like nobody cares about the citizen that got business in our community, and we try to support them.
Alderman Allen, I'll reach out to Chris and just see
I'm
where
just
he's
curious.
at with it.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
I will as well.
Okay. I'll shoot him an email to just say, hey,
Hey,
like to see a couple of local people. And then Alderman,
that will be good. You know what, for the council, maybe sometime, because I see this is happening repeatedly, and I know Alderman Allen had asked for 3 bids from when people go out to get a bid. And it will be nice for us to see if they did go out for those 3 bids. Because what's happening is all we getting is just that one bid and saying, that's it, you know.
Deb has instructed him to get 3 bids, because we know council wants 3 bids.
Okay.
Yeah, so. he's
Right.
got one.
Well, who was the other 2?
He hasn't, he's
He
still
hasn't
reaching
received
out.
Oh, okay,
That's
see,
why-
okay.
So I don't-
That's why she's saying that
Yeah.
it's coming
Right,
close
okay.
to this
Well, we should have been
amount.
bought
I
to
don't,
us.
I don't have them yet, but
All right,
I don't
see.
want to come to you because we're right underneath the amount where I need to go out for formal bid. So I just want to let you know that if those 2 bids come in at about 20,000, then we're going to go out for formal bid.
Right.
Yeah, like we have to by ordinance.
Best is to bring in all
Yeah.
3.
any other questions
Especially
or
in mine,
comments? I think it's a great idea. I appreciate the hard work, and thank you for keeping us updated and posted as quickly as possible, so that we are aware of the situation and the potential for formal bids to go out. So thank you again for your hard work.
Thank you.
Thanks, Deb. All right, any pending matters? Okay, hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the building license community development committee.
So move.
Second?
Moved in second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to open up the committee of the whole. Roll call.
Alderman Fisher? Alderman Mayfield?
Present.
Alderman Evans?
Here.
Alderman Allen?
Here.
Alderman Markham? Alderman Reynolds?
Here.
Alderman January?
Okay, we have a one-item agenda. It is review and discussion of TP Gaming Parlor liquor license. I know the gentleman had came before us earlier and expressed he wanted to bring in a gaming parlor. At the time he brought it in, he said he was going to be using the suite next to him because we knew that liquor was not part of the gaming parlor. Though when he constructed it, it is actually built in his suite and not the adjoining suite. So this was found out by Alderman Evans, who brought it to, oh, did I?
Oh, my God. Oh, no, this man did not just do that.
And let me say this. Let me say this. I'm glad he did.
I'm glad he did.
Because he is working in his ward.
Right.
I'm not calling you out, but
It's okay. It's okay.
No, he just,
I use
I'm
my remote
serious.
control for my car from now on.
But he did bring it to my attention, which, again, I brought it to the attorney's attention so that we can get it rectified.
right.
And which it should be.
Yeah.
Correct?
Absolutely.
Correct me?
Absolutely,
That-
you're right.
All right.
Hey,
And,
It's our
and so, you know, we asked him, I had legal look into it to find out, you know, the direction we needed to go, so that we can get this corrected. I know that he has asked, you know, in regards to, well, I'll let him speak on his behalf on that.
First of
So-
all, I would like to apologize.
And please, name and information for the records. So
My name
she-
is Ronnie, TP Liquors. I'm the owner at TP Liquors. And I would like to apologize with the whole confusion. We wanted to do it next door. We actually met a few contractors and to see, you know, how it can be done. And, you know, we wanted to cut a wall through so that, you know, it can be combined into like one location, but also separate rooms. But then the contractor came in and with like, you know, because the building is so old, the heating lines and all that, he's like, you have to cut through all of that. So, you know, when we took it to the company, Lucky Lincoln, they said, you know, we can build it inside the room. It's a big building, you know. And I did not know that it's gonna affect our liquor license or whatever. So, you know, we did submit the plans to the city. We got approved. I mean, they took 6 weeks. So we assumed that, you know, the city is okay with it. But when Alderman Evans saw that and he, you know, noted the mayor and all that stuff, so we had a meeting about it. And so there are a couple of ways to rectify it. I've made some, you know, they've made some plans. If I can, so if you have to keep it in the same building, you can,
Just give me, take mine.
so, these plans, we have it in which way that we can make it in the same building, but put a door in there. The first page, you know, the room is pretty much like this, but there's no enclosed door. So we can extend the room a little further back there and put a door in there.
What we're looking at here, is this the first one?
Yes, the first one. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing, it's just the digital print of it. The old plan is almost similar to that, but it doesn't have that door with the window. So we can extend the room a little further back and put a door in the middle, and that way it can just be a separate place, which will hopefully rectify the situation of what we have here. So these are the plans that, you know, show what exactly, or somehow that's how much it's going to look like.
So he brought to us, when we had our meeting and to discuss this, one of the things that he had asked if he enclosed the gaming parlor room completely.
Okay.
And that's what you're looking at here, is the enclosure of the gaming parlor with a door that, you know, allows him to come in and out through his original building. So this is actually still part of TP. So, but he would enclose it,
The door gonna be open, if it's closed, what's going on up in there?
yeah.
Most
That-
ones we-
That would be the question, you know, unless he had windows, you know, because across the aisle from it is the counter.
We'll have we'll have windows in there, and just across from the room is our counter, so, you know, we can directly monitor the room as well at the same time. And that will hopefully not violate any liquor laws.
Are you going to be serving from that counter too? Because you need a pour license
Yes.
with the VGTs.
Yes.
Okay.
We gotta look at that one.
Okay. So that was your first plan?
Yeah. The other one, we haven't made any plans yet.
The
other thing is we can move the room to the next door location. All we have to do is just.
Mayor, got a question.
Sure, yes.
When you did this, did anybody come in there and inspect it while that building was, while you was doing that?
The guys from the building department.
So they did see that?
Yeah, they came in.
See, so therefore, when he placed that there, he was doing what he thought was right. Because if an inspector came in and saw that being built, they didn't say anything. So to come back up here now and say that he's wrong, wait,
Go ahead.
can I finish?
I'll let you
Because
finish.
he couldn't have been wrong, because them guys had seen that being built while that building was there. I didn't know it was being built. I told you how I found out.
Oh, yeah.
So therefore,
And we submitted the plans as well. They went on review. We forgot the exit sign, which is the main door. Then it came back to us. Then we resubmitted them and took another 3-4 weeks. So we thought that, everything is compliant with the city. But then, after this, and again, we don't want to be.
you was under the impression
Yes,
that everything was okay.
Yeah.
So, because then nobody, so the inspectors came in, they saw this building, nobody said no.
Nobody said nothing.
See what I'm
Okay,
saying?
but the problem is that when when he brought it to council. Right. He said that they were gonna put it in the suite next door to him.
Right. Absolutely, he did.
And the building department, all they looked at is plans. All they're looking at is plans on, is this meeting code and how it's being built. They're not going back to say, where is this gonna be placed at, which he told us it was gonna be placed in the suite next to it. The building department is reviewing plans that were submitted, knowing that they had a license.
The question
I
was-
mean, it's not the building's the building department wasn't aware of where this was supposed to be placed. All they did was review to make sure it was.
But they had to know in order to say that it was gonna be next door. They had to know, because if he didn't put it next door, they had to know.
They don't sit here and.
So also, one more thing was the address of the building, which is, the liquor store is 1801.
What did you do when you came to us? What did you tell us where you're gonna put the building?
Yes, I proposed that it was gonna be next door, and, again, I cannot apologize more, whatever the council decides. I mean, this is, the way they said that if we enclose it, then, we're not gonna be, in violation of any liquor laws. And if, the council decides for us to put it next door, we are, again, okay with it. It's just we would require some extra time, and so that we can move it next door, and also have the same license number, which is 1801, because our liquor license, because if we change anything on the license, then we have to go back to the gaming board, which is going to take a year or so.
Okay, got a question. You got your machines on, correct?
Yes.
So the building was, the machines was there and everything. The machines wasn't on at the beginning. They got turned on after the city knew that you had those.
Yes.
They had already went through the process.
But the machines got turned on after he had them in that building. So we shouldn't even, if we didn't want him to have those machines in that building, we shouldn't have never turned them on. We didn't have to let the state turn those on, did we, attorney?
Well, I don't know the specific answers to that question, but the gaming area does need to be separated from the main business, because keep in mind, you've got two separate licenses for the same property. And so the license for the GP license, that's the pour license that goes along with the gaming machines, was always anticipated to be for that suite next door, because it was a separate area for the gaming that had controlled access and secured access. But by putting it in the main part of the store, that's what raised the whole issue. Obviously, your concern when you went in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's just like, anything else, because we know if he put it in that liquor store, all the rest of the liquor stores is going to ask for the same thing. So what would be in the best interest of him?
Well, I mean, he's giving you two options, it sounds like. One is to build the enclosure within the existing TP liquor store floor print, Or, it sounds like you'd still be willing, although it'd be more costly, to
It'll be
open
more
it.
costly and it'll be more time consuming as well.
Yeah.
So again, I don't want to be in the wrong side of the council and the city. If the city is okay with us to make it a separate room with enclosed door and everything, we'll do that. But it depends on the council, however you vote on this thing.
And that's why I thought it would be best to bring it back to council, because that is the concern now. And my concern is basically just what you said. Now that it is in a liquor establishment, the other stores are gonna come back to us and say the same thing, that, this gentleman has it, why can't we have it? So,
I just wanted to introduce myself really quick. My name's Alicia. I'm with Lucky Lincoln, the terminal operator that our games are in TP Liquors. And I like to also bring up a separate point too, is when we sat there and we had talked in our meeting the other day, the other legal figure that was there had said, by law, by encapsulating it, we are able to do that. The reason why is because with your guys' specific ordinance, it doesn't allow having 2 individual liquor licenses in one establishment. So he did state that by law it would be fair. And I would also like to bring up that he also serves food at this establishment. And in that game room, it provides seating so that people can sit there and eat their food and give them a place instead. So it's not just liquor that they're doing there. These people are allowed to go there, they're allowed to have their meal on their lunch break or whatever it may be, and sit there and enjoy the games where it's being monitored closely as well. He had mentioned that it's going to take some time with the state to be approved if we move next door. That's not just because it would be a change in address, which we had also mentioned possibly going ahead and changing it so the same address goes through both units. But we would have to go ahead and submit to the state that it's going to be a swap. So whenever you go ahead and you move anything, you have to go ahead and submit for a new inspection through the state. And they have to come through, and that takes a few months alone, and then they're going to have to fully give us the okay to do it. And after that, we're going to have them come back in order to do that swap, which would it would be more time. So if we do go that route, we would like to have some time to, keep the games open. You guys are being very level-headed and understanding with this situation. So I just kind of wanted to bring that to your attention as well.
so I'm addressing council in regards to how do you see this moving forward? Would you see it in closing it, leaving it where it's at? Again, I think then, I don't know, we have to have a re-vote on that? Because now it's not in the same spot, or just?
Well, we're in a little bit of a gray area here, so there's no perfect solution. What I would suggest is if you like one option over the other, you express that. That's just it. There's no perfect procedure here for us. A vote would be appropriate to accept the enclosure within the existing floor plate of TP Liquors, or if you prefer them to open it as they had originally represented to us in the suite next door, that option. But you've heard the difficulty that presents for them.
I know, but the only thing about it, he knew when he went into that, what the situation, he knew this. He decided to change because the man told him it's gonna be hard to,
Actually, so I just bought the store end of December 2018. It's a very old building. I mean, I've just seen the next door, been there, but when I went in there, like with the contractor, a lot of things just came out because it's a very, very old building. So I did not knew that before I came to the council. I came to the council before, and then obviously took bids and everything from a contractor that if the city is approving it. So again, it was a mistake on my part, but yeah, the whole way that the next door is set up, it was just so hard to cut a door through and just build a new place there.
Alderman?
But it was not completely your fault, because that thing was built, and the city had to know. If the city would have did their job, they would have been in and out of that building. So it's not completely your fault. I know it's partial it is your fault.
Partially.
But completely it's not your fault because of the address or whatever. But I know if they was doing their job, that would have been called. because I would, let me tell you something. I don't go to your store a lot, but once I got the phone call, I came in there. Yes, I did. As the mayor knows, I immediately contacted him. But it is not completely your fault because our departments should have been, they should have inspected the building.
So all we can, I mean, right now is, the only situation is like, you know, we have the room, I don't know if Alderman has seen the room, Mr. Mayor has seen the room. It's, you enter it, it's on the side, it's separated, but there's no enclosed door or anything like that. So what we can do is we can extend it a little further back and put a door, and that way, you know, it will meet all the requirements with the state, with the city. State is okay with having 2 licenses at the same location, so we've got the separate pour license from state. So it's only with the city if city is okay with it.
Alderman January.
Thank you, Mayor and the Liquor Commissioner. You know, sitting here and listening to all of this, I understand that there is a lot to rectify this, to change it back to the original agreement. The original, what the council had approved for. My question is, if we went that route and said we want it in where we had originally agreed upon, would you be able to, because I don't know how the state controls the gaming piece. That's really kind of out of our hands with those machines. Would they be able and willing to leave the current machines on until you're able to move them over to the new location?
Yes,
Okay, so
because
you
they've already
still-
approved it. The machines are already approved by the state, and you know, with the license the city gave me, so the machines are completely legal. It's just the liquor laws of city where you cannot have both licenses at the same location just by the city. State allows that, so having 2 different licenses at the same location. So again, they mentioned that if we put it in an enclosed.
I understand
Yeah.
that. I've heard you, you've repeated yourself several times over it. I hear it, I understand that. Where my concern lies doesn't so much lie with the regulations as it lies with our city. And our city being in the respect of, if we allow for the enclosure within the liquor store, as the mayor has stated, and I've heard some of the other aldermen state as well, it's going to bring other liquor stores saying, we want the same. And that was our purpose originally, to say, okay, we get it, we understand, you have purchased this other suite to the building, and that's where you wanted to put it. I'm just erring on the side of our community and what our community needs to see and what other entities need to see from us as the fathers of the city, that we need to stay steadfast and show that we need to stay with our decisions. And that I can only recommend at this point, Mayor, and as the liquor commissioner, is that we continue to have that separation and that they do move the gaming to that suite. As long as you're gonna have the gaming councils on and going, you're not gonna really lose a lot of revenue because you're still gonna have them
The only,
available to you. I get that that side of the building may need a little extra work, but again, this is what we agreed upon originally, and that's just, I'm going with what the community, I get the regulations, I get the money that has to maybe go into fixing up that side of the building, but I just feel we need to be steadfast. We need to put a stop to some of the stuff that's going on in the city and just move forward. And as I would say, I would lean more towards sticking with our first year and original agreement.
As I said, whatever the council decides, we are okay both ways.
And I'm glad that you're open to that, because it's, like I said, it's not about the regulations, because we get that, we understand. I'm more concerned about the community.
As long as, the only concern we had was, and we brought up in that meeting, was the licenses. So the liquor license we have from the city and the state are under the same address, which is 1801. So next door suite is 1802. As long as the city allows the whole building to be 1801 so that we don't have to change licenses, the gaming board won't have a problem. The only thing we have to do is do a second inspection once we build the room, and then.
Doesn't that all have to go through zoning to change that?
What?
Now he's talking about changing the suite, the address on the suite.
That's what I was just saying.
It's a 18.
We already spoke about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, I'm just saying we need to stick to the original agreement, is my recommendation, just because of the community and needing to be steadfast with our decisions.
Okay. And I guess pretty much, Alderman January, I almost feel the same way. That, we'll allow you to give you the time to make the corrections. You don't have to turn the machines off, but you will have to comply with the original, which you came in front of council and stated to us. So, I don't mind it, 6-8 months of getting that turned around, but, yeah, that needs to be changed. So, we will make sure we pass that on to our building department, that you will be making the changes,
Right.
and that will be corrected.
But how long? I mean, you're saying 6 to 8 months, but how long do you need?
I mean, if I can come in and talk to you guys, because we gotta talk to another contractor and see, the whole process, how long it's gonna be. Also with the gaming board, because we have to get an inspection, so sometimes they take 2-3 months to just come and inspect a building. So even though we create a room, I mean, we can start the process of making the room, but for the machines to move into that area, it might be, I mean, I'll construct the room as we promised that, we're gonna construct it. But for them to move next door, we cannot comment on that, because once we build the room, we have to call the gaming board. They come in for the inspection, which sometimes take 2 to 3 months. So,
Mayor, how about this? Since this guy went on ahead and made this got the machines in his establishment, he said he was gonna put a wall up, the wall up and everything. And we don't have to allow others to get the same license because we got this one person that got the license, because that's the same thing as saying, just to show a comparison, that Citgo, the gas station at Citgo, they got the liquor inside the gas station, and we're not allowing anyone else to get a license with the liquor, correct? So wouldn't it be ideally for this individual who already, I mean, it's not his mistake that the city decided to put those machines in his, to allow him to put that in there, because that's not his fault. You got the paperwork, 1801, right? Everything, he got his paperwork.
He submitted the paperwork to the state with his address.
no, I submitted to the city.
It came to the city. It's the city, yeah. So it's not the individual, but that's through the city. Everything came through the city that went to the state. So it's not, when we have business owners, we don't know the addresses. I know what we voted on. We don't know the addresses, but it's not our duty to go out there and say, well, this is what's supposed to be done. It was just unfortunate. We didn't even know it until it was completed. See, now, had the city done their job properly, that would have never happened. But since it happened, hey, he shouldn't have to pay the price for the city's mistake. I mean, I'm being honest. It really wasn't his fault. They decided to allow him to open that up. I'm just saying, right.
Does any other councilman have any suggestions here?
Well, weren't we just, I thought we were going to have him do what he originally said he was gonna do.
Right, that's what we said.
But
Okay.
is that not what we're gonna do? Because the building department didn't do something right? So now he doesn't have to do it?
I'm just trying to get a consensus of the council.
I'm just trying to understand too.
Yeah, so,
It's difficult.
no, it's not difficult, just go back to what we originally said in the plan, Mayor.
Well, you tell
We
me.
said the next door, stay with our plan. Done. I know if they let that dog wake up, if he was asleep, you should have left him alone. And somebody woke that dog up, and guess what? Now you brought it all back to us, and then we see it, now you gotta correct it.
All right.
So what have we decided, Mr. Mayor?
Well, the consensus I hear is you got to move it.
Okay.
And because I know that the gaming board takes a while,
Right.
what do you see as far as once you file for that?
So first, I want to make sure, like, confirming before we go ahead
And we're going to get legal
right, yes.
in writing all of this
And
once we get it done.
I want to make sure too, because, so I said that changing the address with the state, it creates a hiccup with it. It creates a whole new license, which it wouldn't be just an inspection, it would be a whole new license. So a whole new run through, which could take over a year, which took him almost a year to do the first time around. So we would still need to be maintaining that place next door. The liquor license would still have to maintain under TP Liquors.
Okay.
And the address would maintain the same as 1801.
Okay.
If it's doable, that would make it go as seamlessly as possible through them.
Okay.
And then I can reach out as well and see, all we really do is submit for, like a replacement or a swap, or, I'm not sure what technical term they use for a movement like this. And then they'll come in, they'll inspect it, and they'll say yes, no. But just maintaining that name on the liquor license with you guys, and the same gaming license, same everything. Even if it's next door, I just need to make sure. Oh, yeah. Wait, what?
So, we got a renewal on April 30th on both the licenses, so as long as, because they have to be renewed as well, for us to obtain the state license as well. So
We'll let you stay for a year to do your procedure with the gaming board, and you're allowed to continue to run, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
And so we're going to give them that 1 year, and we'll get it all in writing.
Yes.
Okay?
Is the space enclosed at all in any way right now? There's a separation from the main business?
No.
There's not?
No. No, you
Okay.
walk in, and the gamings are right on your right-hand side, and it's open.
I mean, there's like, it looks like a separate room, but there's no wall or anything, preventing to enter that room.
That's a good idea, man. A year, that's good.
Okay? All right, that's the only business I had. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Been moved to second by somebody.
Moved by me, sir. Enough already.
Okay.
Typically required.
I have never seen such.
Aye, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.